Welcome back, everyone, to episode 6 of Quarantine Cast here at Beyond the Brick. Today, we're very excited to have Dan Siskin and the Brickmania crew joining us. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 6 of our Quarantine Cast. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Brian Saviano, Bricks O'Brien, who you can find every week on this stream, as well as the Thursday gaming stream he does here on Beyond the Brick. And we've got several wonderful members of the Brickmania team joining us. So if you've seen our videos with Brickmania over the years, then these people will look familiar to you. We've got Dan, we've got Lando, and we've got Dylan with us. So thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your busy day over there at the headquarters to chat with us.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. It's always a pleasure.
So we'll start, Dan, then. If you just want to give an overview, I'm sure a lot of people have been kind of following. I know you guys have been doing kind of your own social media updates and everything as the quarantine has been going on. But if you just want to give kind of an update on how Brickmania has been running and what the operations have been like over the last couple of months and what things are looking like now.
Well, it's changing all the time. So we are almost back at full strength in the Brickmania warehouse. I mean, we're fortunate that we have 30,000 square feet to work in. So as restrictions have loosened up, we've been adding more and more people back in the warehouse. But for quite a long time, we were actually dispersed all over the place. So I was the only person for a while in the warehouse doing as much as I could to get orders out. And then gradually, one person at a time, we've been bringing back some essential people, getting some machines up and running. And I mean, that's for several weeks, it was just me, and it was kind of lonely and kind of spooky here. But now we're, like I said, almost back up to full strength. We almost ran out of inventory because we just couldn't keep up with it. But thanks to people working at home and taking stuff to do, and then our printers coming in slowly, we're getting back up there. So we're almost at 100% capacity at Brickmania again.
That's what we like to hear. So I followed your kind of Facebook updates as you were at the headquarters. What was that like being there by yourself and filling all those orders?
Well, it was kind of spooky because it was just during the day I'd see some of the building maintenance people here, and then there's one machine shop that's an essential business, so they've been working. So it's been like me and the machine guys, and they're working like welders and stuff like that. So they're actually shaking the building with some of the stuff that they do. So other than the ambient noise of those guys, the building was pretty deserted, and then slowly started coming back to life. Other businesses were coming in. There's a distillery here that started making hand sanitizer. And I never really saw those guys in the building. I could hear them if I'm wandering around the halls because they'd be in their space. But then they started giving hand sanitizer out to the public or selling it. And then people started wandering around in the building. So it was kind of startling to walk around the corner and suddenly find a bunch of people looking for this distillery. Face to face with people. I hadn't seen anybody in a long time. So it was a little eerie, but I got used to it real quick.
And you were able to keep orders shipping out then while you were there? Yeah,
well, we got the shutdown order like on a Wednesday afternoon and said, hey, Friday at midnight, everything has to shut down. And we filled orders like crazy on Thursday and Friday. And all of our shipping companies asked, hey, are you going to be open next week? We're still going to be picking up. And we didn't know that was even a thing. We were allowed to do that. So we did keep open. And for those first few days, it was pretty much just me. And then slowly we had some people come and trickle in to give me a break, so I wasn't just working 24/7. But I have worked every day since I think like March 2nd or something. I've been here every day, so 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day. So it's been a little crazy.
And you can see what happens here with the video John screen sharing and what happened. This is why you don't do that.
I think this was one of the first days where I had somebody come in and help. So I didn't actually take that video. So I have to byproduct. So one of the customer service people came in and helped me out, and we were having fun.
This is what Brian does when we make him stream gaming for 12 hours straight on the channel.
That's me 1 hour in. You don't want to see me at hour 11.
Yeah.
So then Lando and Dylan, what was it like for you guys? You were working from home then. We can start with you, Lando, on what kind of your workflow has been since you had to head home and try to do stuff from there.
Yeah, I've like you said, I've just been working from home. I'm finally back at the office, so that's nice. I think my workflow is a little bit better here at my regular desk. But just it's kind of nice being at home as well. It's quieter, so in some respects it's good. But then there's like the collaborative effort that you can't quite recreate that over Skype or Zoom meetings or whatever. So I'm glad to be back working, and we're trying our best here to maintain obviously social distancing stuff and just trying to be respectful about that. But it's just nice to be back, I guess. So.
That's good to hear as well. So yeah, I'm sure there is that balance of kind of working from home and not having distractions versus going into the office and actually being able to interact and work with other people a little easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So at my house, I spent a good chunk of time trying to get my workflow to just be regular, but I figured by the time I was in a good routine, then we could come back into work. So I was like, oh, yeah. So, but it's just an interesting experience. I think we're all kind of learning day by day how to just, I guess, make this work. So, yeah.
And then Dylan, you actually did some streams from home, right?
Yeah, so the marketing side of things, the social media whatnot, wasn't too terribly difficult because you can do all that stuff mobily via the internet. But the tough part is everything here at Brickmania, whether it's the GHQ or the HQ, is so awesome. And then I have to be quarantined in my 1-bedroom apartment with nothing but a Brickmania flag, and then try to make our YouTube content look like it should. You know what I mean? And so that was the biggest wall I ran up to, is how do I make my living room look as cool as the GHQ? And you just can't do that. I mean, it is not possible to do. So now that we're all back in here and we're opening up our stores for phones so you can pick your kits up via contactless pickup, I'm happy to be back.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Everyone is jealous of how great the GHQ looks. So, I mean, you can never replicate that anywhere else.
Right. It's impossible. Even when I got to the point where I started being able to take some of the models home, you just have to focus completely on the model because all I have is a blank wall and a flag behind it.
You could do what is it popular now with the Zoom meetings where everybody has the green screen backgrounds and you just take a photo of the headquarters and have that behind you.
Yeah, the Quarantine Chronicles live from Bali.
Well, there was a couple Skype meetings where you had some funky backgrounds. I know Dylan, you did, but some other people were in some strange locations on our Skype meetings.
Dylan, I saw you back at the office one of the days.
What types of things were you doing then on those streams, Dylan? And kind of as you gave updates to people, what sort of stuff were you trying to send out to people on a regular basis?
Well, I think the difficult part about being quarantined and then having to take on the YouTube stuff is, what people want to see is the designers. They want to see the designers talking about their kit. And if they can't see the designers, what they want to see is as much of the kits as possible. So initially when we started that, we were using action shots, we were using digital assets, doing everything we could. Right, exactly, that kind of thing to just show off what we had. And then eventually when we were able to get the models in their hand, then I kind of just took it from a standpoint of I will talk as much as I can, as much as I know about these models, and then just keep the focus of the camera on the builds themselves. And that hopefully hit a little bit of a midway point where people were at least able to see the models and know that later on the designers would be in to discuss that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Dan, were you trying to check up on people at home as they were working on stuff, or did you just kind of let everybody do their thing and hope that something was happening while you were in the office?
Well, we have we call it the project list. It's sort of like the evil overlord that runs our whole life, and all it is a Google spreadsheet, but it has everything. It keeps track of everything that Brickmania has going at any given time. So we're kind of used to just following along this list that we sort of update week by week, day by day. So everybody already has a workflow of what they're supposed to be doing and what their next project is. And we've been working on this sort of, I don't know, it's sort of like a task list of things to do for years. And so we're all kind of used to what do we have to do today? And we check in once a week just to make sure we're all on the same page. But I think it was good exercise for us to be able to work independently because we already had this sort of practice of we could have this spreadsheet that lets us know what we're supposed to be doing. And I didn't feel like I needed to check up on anyone. I don't even think we had a meeting of any of the departments until 2 or 3 weeks into the quarantine. And it was kind of we discovered, oh, wait, we have Skype, we have Zoom, we have all these things. Let's start using it. And each department was sort of different. So we were using different tools. The marketing team was using Skype. The production team was using another completely different communication tool. And it didn't really seem all that different other than we didn't see each other. So instead of me checking up on people, more of my time was coordinating how to get parts to different houses, have a safe way for people to come and pick up stuff to do. So it was more like I was rearranging the whole warehouse, and then one room at a time, making it safe for people to come back and work in.
What is the warehouse setup like now? Because I know, based on what you guys have been posting online, you've taken a lot of precautions there. So what is that like now?
Well, we had cleaned out the big warehouse, so we in preparation for World War Brick. So it was empty, other than like our vehicles parked in there, and then stuff, the Macon Island build, the big aircraft carrier building. So it was more or less empty. So then I just started setting up workstations in there and using our stanchions from that we have for like our events, and set up like 40-foot or 20 by 20-foot squares for people to work in. So in the middle of each square, there's a workstation. So if you walk into your square, you will be 10 to 15 feet from the person next to you. So right now there's enough room for about I think count 4, 6, 7 people can safely work in there and be socially distanced. And there's still more room. We haven't completely filled it up yet. And that includes working around the Macon Island, which is this huge aircraft carrier that we're building. And that in itself the ship is 25 feet long. So imagine 10 feet all the way around this whole thing of stanchions, that just so like I could work there, or Cody or anybody could work there and not be in anybody else's way.
The Macon Island is something I definitely wanted to ask you about as well, because this is your next big giant ship project, which is always something. One of my favorite things that you guys do are these big models that you're always kind of working on over the years. So where are you at in that process? And I think there's actually some cool ways that people can get involved by helping donate it and build the ship itself. So talk about that as well.
Well, we started actually in late February, like, okay, we're finally ready. We can start this project. We want to have it done by World War Brick in June. And we got it all set up to go, started bringing the parts out, started sorting and organizing all of our parts we're going to use. And then the whole coronavirus thing hit. So we got like 2 days of work on it. And that was all we got. And then all of a sudden we had a quarantine. We had to shut everything down. So I've been working a little bit on it. I managed to get like 2 or 3 full days of work on it. And then, it's slowly coming back to life, slowly materializing. So we do have this brick starter that you're showing on the screen. So this is a program to support the build, basically help us buy the bricks that we're missing. You're basically donating some money to Brickmania. We use it to buy parts, which we've actually bought quite a bit of parts over the last month. And now that we're actually building again, they're being put to use. It was I guess job interrupted. We hope to have like most of the whole. We expected to be detailing the ship by at this point, but now we're maybe 20% through the whole of the ship, and a long way to go. So
still quite a bit of work left then.
Right. And I've done a few big models like this, and I know how much it's really daunting to say, okay, we're 20% through this thing that's going to take a month or two to even see really measurable products. So what you're showing right now is this brick starter campaign, where basically you become a plank owner of the ship. You get a printed tile that you can have your name commemorated on it, and a certificate showing that you've helped, and different tiers have different rewards, and that's what you're seeing now. We have quite a few people who signed up, and we're actually in the process finally of printing the bricks, the reward bricks, and the minifigures. So it's kind of cool, and it's coming together. It just took a little longer than we'd hoped to do it.
I think it's great that you can get fans' involvement in a big project like this. It's like when big construction happens and you can get your name engraved on a brick or something in a building. Same idea here, but instead it's your 25-foot long aircraft carrier. Yeah. So right around the water line, we'll have all the sponsor names, and we'll just keep working up. I mean, if we get a couple of layers up, I think the hull from water line to deck is something like
53 or 54 bricks high. So it's pretty tall. It's 18 inches from waterline to deck. So it's quite a bit bigger than the USS Missouri even, which is the last big ship. Last ship of this size, I think.
Well, and when you compare the two, and you think about all the, I mean, just through you guys, just through Beyond the Brick, the amount of views, the amount of people who have seen the Missouri, and so we wanted to make this as kind of a chance for people who loved the Missouri and loved the O'Hare and loved just seeing those builds to actually be able to get involved. And now, even at the lowest level, when you get your brick, that will go onto the Macon Island, wherever it travels, wherever it goes, you will always be a part of that build. And that was something that, when we kind of pitched the idea, we were all like, man, that would have been something that we would have really have liked to do, is been able to, be a part of something like this and support, let people know we want to see more of this kind of stuff. And so this is our solution for that.
I think that makes total sense. Yeah, you can see the size of the Missouri here. For people who haven't seen that, you should definitely check out the various videos that we've done on that over the years, because this, like Dan mentioned, was kind of the last super large ship that they did. And this one, it's still together, right, Dan, in the headquarters?
It is. People are asking if we're going to take it apart to build the next one. And no, we're actually building the two in concert. So the Missouri will stay. As for the foreseeable future, maybe if we build another ship, we may have to take the Missouri apart eventually. But for the time being, the Missouri is on permanent display in the GHQ store, and we'll keep it there. I mean, nobody can see it now. Unfortunately, we can't have any guests or public in the space. But eventually, 6 months, a year, who knows? we're hoping sooner than that. But it'll be there waiting for people to come and see it.
I can't even wrap my head around how many bricks that is and how you designed that. Like, I've been zoned out this whole time, just like trying to understand how you guys do it, and like what mindset it takes, and the production, and like it's incredible. Like, I got nothing. Great job.
They're all insane over there. That's the only.
That's it.
Definitely.
Right.
I'll still go down. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I think there's just a certain naivety, like, oh, let's build this huge thing, and not really knowing what you're getting into. I've heard from my female friends, like, it's kind of like having a baby. It's like, when you're having the baby, you're like, I'm never going to do this again. This is the stupidest thing ever. And then a few years later, like, oh, I think I want to have another one. You forget. And I think that's the same with building one of these giant ships. Like, now that I'm like built a section, I'm like, oh my God, we have so much more to do.
It seems that way. And I mean, I'm glad that you have the energy and the time to like do that, because that project in itself is like, some people would take single-handedly years to put that together, and you guys can manage to put that thing together and display it for so many people. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, that one took like half a year to build.
Yeah.
By myself, pretty much. And the new one is that other people helped, and I got some of our animators involved. They've been really helpful about making like the whole form, like making a sort of a texture map, so I don't have to eyeball it. I get some help. Basically they make a 3D model, make it 2D, so I can copy it with Lego, and it really speeds up the process. It makes it look nicer. So part of the biggest problem with the Missouri is all done by eyeball, and it just takes a long time to sculpt something when you don't have like a plan or a real, you're looking at pictures or diagrams. You don't have a whole form to follow. So
yeah, right, because you're looking at a lot of resources that you can find online, and then if a model is available, like even for kits that you guys design, you look at that in person. I mean, that only goes so far. You probably have to do a lot of improv when it comes to scaling it down to Lego, and not only scaling it properly, but then making it look good in Lego form, which is a whole different art in itself.
Yeah, that's true, and you always forget something or miss stuff when you do it the first time. So if you ever get a chance to do it again, you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do better this time. So that does happen.
Yeah. And then all the figures too, it's populated. It's not just a ship. It's a populated ship. Like,
there's 300 figures on there. The idea was that the whole ship was going to commemorate the end of World War II. So we actually recreated the scene of the Japanese surrender ceremony happening on the deck. So that was kind of fortunate that we had some actual historic pictures to copy. But yeah, there's 300 something figures on the deck, and we eventually want to have it so if you go around to the other side, you'll see all the guys at the battle stations, which we do have a little bit, but we've never really had a chance to, you know. The problem is the ship is so big and the project's so big, it would take like a week dedicated to like actually getting all the figures together, putting them in there. Haven't had that time to do it.
I loved having the opportunity to finally visit the Missouri in person this year. Back before everything shut down, I was coming back from a trip to Saipan where I was helping rebuild some houses for FEMA, and we happened to have a layover in Hawaii. And due to like the booking company messing up our flights, we had like a full 24 hours. So I was like, the first place I was going was definitely to see the Missouri, and it was amazing. You captured it so well, especially recreating the like surrender scene there with the minifigures, the Japanese and Americans there at the end of the war. Every detail is so perfect. So having seen your model so many times, we've made all the videos on it, you've seen it in person, was just such an awesome treat, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I was able to get a taste for it with the Lego build before I actually went there in person.
Yeah, so I've been to this spot now.
Exactly. And then, Lando, I wanted to ask you earlier on when we were talking about the different levels of support that you can help donate the bricks for the Make an Island build. One of them has the minifigure there. So is that one of your designs? And is that an exclusive to, will you only be able to get that if you support the Make an Island, or is that available on its own as well?
Yeah, that's right. That's exclusive with the plank owners. I think the middle level discount or middle level sponsorship. So that's the all new Navy working uniform. I believe I have that name right. And I guess previously they had these camouflage outfits that were like dark blue, which maybe isn't the best color to be when you're in the ocean. So now they're switching over to this AOR2, I think is the name of the camouflage. So that's just a render right now. We're getting all the parts assembled for printing. Yeah, so that's a fun take on that camo. You can kind of see some interesting things happening on that figure. So I've been playing a lot recently with some color shifting going on. So Lego, as you know, there's a very limited color palette, and some people might say this is cheating. But we're actually shifting the color here a little bit to get that accurate tone going on there. Being a render, there's some of those edges are kind of sharp, but I think it's an interesting thing that we're doing here. We're actually there's a thin layer of a bit of yellowish ink going on, and you can actually still see the majority of the substrate through that. So that's still a lot of Lego you're seeing. So I actually have another example of that right here. I don't know if you can see that on camera to the side. This is Lego dark gray, but then that's been slightly color shifted to just sort of a historically accurate olive drab color. So you can kind of see right here where I'm at. This would be more of a Lego dark gray, and then now we have this olive drab. So it's a subtle shift going on. So we're still working. It's a work in progress, but I'm having fun doing it. So yeah.
But you can the limits of what you can do with UV printing, basically.
So when you say color shifting, you mean so you're printing a different color on there? Explain, I guess, a little more exactly what you mean by that term and what it is you guys are doing to that.
Sure. So with color shifting, I guess let's say we'll start off with like a dark gray, but I want to get to olive drab. I don't need to necessarily blast the minifigure with straight olive drab color. I'm actually just adding a hint of a little bit more ink just to get it to that. It's really basic color mixing. But I'm finding the less ink that you're able to use, the cleaner of a print that you have, and you can really get almost a perfect match to the historical colors. Lego has an olive, but it's really vibrant and not very historically accurate, I don't think. So we're just trying to get really close to these real tones and colors that you'd actually see from history.
That's what we like to see. Yeah, that's what I love seeing your work, Lando. It's just you always experimenting with figuring out the best way to achieve like as historically accurate as possible minifigures, getting all that detail down to the small little things.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I'm always happy to try and tackle a new project and keep seeing how far we can push Lego as a medium and as a learning tool, obviously. it's just been so much fun to just learn about history as I'm digging in for researching all these different uniforms. So yeah, it's a work in progress, and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, we got a new tool, just the toy, I guess, today. So we haven't taken it out of the crates yet, but we have some new printing equipment that just showed up. So different brand, different stuff we've never used before. So we're kind of anxious to see what this new printer can do. And we got a laser engraver too, so that might be kind of interesting to see what that does to Lego bricks.
You can tell how seriously Dan takes his job. It's like, we're just going to kind of pull out all these machines and just kind of see what they do.
Well, there's certain, we can't do certain things because of the quarantine situation. One of the things that we can do is all of our printing supply companies, I would say all, but we do have 3-4 printing operations here, and they're all like itching. They've got gear. They're like, hey, we're bored. Let's get you guys set up with new equipment. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. We have some opportunity to experiment, and let's do it.
I like it. Yeah. I also wanted to ask you guys, I know unfortunately the World War Brick show had to be canceled, but Dylan, if you want to give us maybe an update on kind of what you guys had planned for that, and so what you'll kind of carry into next year, and then kind of generally what's planned for that show, so that people, it's never too early to get started on mocks or plans for future conventions, so you can get people excited for what's going to happen next year now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're running our normal mock contests, which are entirely digital, and our most recent one is ending here on May 25th. As for World War Brick, we rescheduled it for the exact same weekend the next year. Not only are we going to honor the passes from 2020 to 2021, but we're also going to come up with an exclusive item that will give those pass holders who decided to hold on to those 2020 passes. We don't know what that'll be yet, but we are going to figure out something cool there. And then for the 2020 year, around the time when World War Brick would have been, we're hoping to do something along the lines of World War Brick Cyber Warfare. And so people who have been preparing these mocks for World War.
Whoops. Oh, did we lose Dylan?
And into infinity he goes. Ouch.
Speaking of cyber warfare, I think somebody took his feet down.
Mid-sentence.
It's weapon taking us down. They don't want it to happen. It's a warfare happening.
I think he flailed his arms too much. Well, if you text him, make sure he's still there.
Well, I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. But yeah, John pulled up the website here, so you can see the 2021. It's back on, and there is lots of exciting stuff still planned for that. So is the cyber warfare then like a virtual type of event?
I think so. That was I've been sort of roughly in the loop.
Okay.
About this whole thing. Yeah, definitely something that people want to be able to show off. There's Dylan again.
There you go. Got it back.
Dylan probably can explain better than I can.
So cyber warfare is basically going to just be a quick collection of all the people who were excited to show off their mocks for the 2020 World War Brick that we will then compile together and show off on our YouTube channel, so our viewers can see exactly how hard these people worked for the 2020 World War Brick.
That sounds good. So it's nice to at least give something for people to enjoy since they can't make it in person. I know like Brick World has been experimenting with the virtual cons and stuff like that. So hopefully maybe we'll see more of that to at least give people a taste of the builds and everything they would have seen in person.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good way to at least do what we can for now, and then everything will be pointing towards 2021. We hope to make that the biggest World War Brick ever.
And this one takes place at the headquarters in Minneapolis, correct? That's the only one you have planned at this point?
Correct. Yeah, that location is just so ours to customize, I guess would be the way to put it. We can just do whatever we want in that space and utilize that large room. And so I think that's going to be the route we're going to go in the future here. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have way more space in the building now, so we can empty the big room, have people work elsewhere, or just temporarily put everything aside that we have to. So we'll have the GHQ, which of course is a huge store, and then we have the big warehouse that we've had World War Brick in before. So it gives us plenty of options. I'm sure we can do stuff around in the neighborhood too. When we first started doing World War Brick, there wasn't really a whole lot in the neighborhood. So times have changed, the neighborhood's changed. We have plans for doing some parts of the event off site. So there will be like a Thursday night meet and greet for the for the adults that are over 21. That'll be elsewhere. That'll be off location. So it'd be kind of neat. It's going to be. It's not just this small event anymore. It's actually going to be kind of taking over. The building, and then hopefully we'll be able to get people to be able to stay in the neighborhood. So a lot of Airbnbs and stuff that we have opened up in the neighborhood. It's kind of cool, different from before.
Yeah, I know John and I are very excited to be back there. We were really hoping it would happen this year, but obviously that didn't work out. But we're definitely have it on the calendar for next year, and it's always a good time visiting all of you guys up in Minneapolis and then seeing people's builds. And I think in the chat, Brian, do you have a fan of Minneapolis who wants you to head out there as well?
They're scattered everywhere. No matter where I'm at, there's always probably at least one person who wants to say hi. So, any excuse I can go anywhere, Joshua. If you want to toss me on a flight somewhere, it's up to you. But
that's right. See what we can do to get you out there, because obviously we need you to experience the glory of the 25-foot long ship models in person.
Well, right. So I was going to ask you before, Josh, what was more impressive, seeing the actual ship in real life or the Lego version of the ship? Which one struck you more?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
You're under pressure because the guys are here, so you better make sure you say the right thing. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'm probably the completely finished model of the Lego ship probably struck me more, because I've seen a number of different historical ships over the years, and so I think that I'd seen a number of those before I made it to Missouri, but I've only seen one 25-foot long Lego battleship. However long exactly that was, I forget the exact dimensions, but so I might have been more amazed when I saw that for the first time.
So now it's only right that I get to go and appreciate it at least once IRL. So we'll see.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Just not right now.
No, just not right now. Stay away.
Lena's like, no, don't tell people.
No.
I already booked the flight. What are you talking about? I'm leaving the office here.
Probably
we're excited to check out your hazmat suit.
I got my N95. I'm fine.
There we go.
All good.
We haven't mentioned yet, though, Dan, that there while kind of quarantine was going on and people were working from home, you were at the office. There were still kits being designed. Mm-hmm. So you still had new designs, and did you have new sets actually being released at that time as well, or did you hold off on that?
We somehow miraculously were able to more or less maintain schedule the whole time. I think we were, we've been sort of like on autopilot for a while. It was just once we decided that, okay, we can do this, we can try to work from home. We had maybe a few days of disruption, but I think it was that sort of like that Monday or Tuesday after the quarantine started, like, well, people are itching to do stuff. Why can't we just have them bring stuff home? And a lot of people actually did bring stuff home. So we maybe got a couple of days behind, but once we determined that we could, like, say, bring a printer back in here, have some of the guys operating the print room a couple days a week, we realized it wouldn't really affect our schedule. And by the time we were allowed to actually come back into the building, we had already pretty much returned to normal. It's just that so much of the production had been decentralized into people's kitchens and living rooms and dining rooms and wherever you could find a space to put together 50 kits. That's where it was happening.
So now, have you noticed with shipping out the different products that you're seeing a lot of time delays with shipping through whatever shipping service you have? I'm sure there must be some sort of backup that you got to relay to customers. So I don't know what that's like on the business end for you guys.
Well, I think it's almost been the opposite. We've had some shipping services, which unfortunately we don't use, have been really disrupted, but we're using UPS, the post office, and DHL, and we haven't experienced anything. Maybe a little bit through customs for some of the overseas packages, but otherwise, and it was really like prevalent more in early March or early to late March. But as April kind of rolled into April, things started just getting back to normal. And I would argue that the post office is actually quicker now than it ever was, because they don't have as many packages being shipped. But we routinely ship stuff to either coast, and it shows up either the next day or the day after, and that's just regular mail. It's so
wow.
People are like, we ship stuff on Friday. People are posting pictures of the models that they built on Saturday. Like, wow, you built our kit. We just sent it to you yesterday. So it's happening quite regularly, and So it's the opposite is true. Maybe because there's less competition on the roads, that things are just, it's just running smoother without all this traffic, with all the humans interfering with everything.
Yeah, I haven't had a commute anywhere for like a month and a half, so that definitely plays into it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. I know, like, I'm having a lot of issues with, like, shirts and whatnot shipping out, and I'm like, well, it's a pandemic. What do you expect? But I'm glad it hasn't impacted you guys.
Well, and that's actually been kind of the cool part about all this is, going into this is completely unexplored territory for any of these small businesses. And, when we were getting ready for the orders to come down from our governor, we didn't know what to expect. And so we were trying to communicate with our fans kind of the same way of saying like, hey, we don't really know what this is going to be. We don't know what this is going to look like on the other side. We know we're making kits for right now. So if you want them now, get them, and we'll see what happens, after all this goes through. And our fan support was amazing. I mean, it was awesome to see the outreach that these people had, telling other people, we want to keep this place alive. We want to, keep these guys doing this special stuff. And the response was really amazing. I think all of us here were humbled and very excited to get back to work once we saw that.
The next question was going to be, how many angry emails have you gotten from people that don't understand maybe some delays that are happening? But I don't think there's been many from what you're saying.
Not at all. We've actually, we've kind of had to put the brakes on a little bit of the sales. So, when we first, we're going to have quarantine, we're like, hey, let's put out a huge coupon, get everybody to order now. You're not going to be able to get anything for a while. And it really wiped us out to the point where like, well, we have nothing left to sell. So we have to stop putting coupons out. So let us build up some inventory again. And to this point, we're still like kind of like a little scared to put out two offers that are too good right now because we just can't keep up with it. So there will be a time. I mean, I know there's people probably watching this waiting for like a big coupon to drop. They're like, well, you're going to have to wait a little longer because right now we just don't have any product to sell you. We're a little bit worried about. We put out a product on Friday, and by Saturday, all 100 copies are gone. And then what do we do for the next week? So,
and I mean, now is the perfect time to sit inside and build a Brickmania kit. So, Sorry
we didn't work out any exclusive coupon drop here for everyone watching live.
I'm sure Dylan can make something up. Right?
I was going to say, I'm sitting at the computer right now. We'll fire something.
It's like 2% off with quarantine gas.
Yeah.
You can use code Josh and Brian.
Yeah. Now, John is screen sharing one of the kits I know, Dan, that you've been working on here. So this one I think is finally ready. This is a massive kit that you've been working on. So take us through kind of the design process for this and explain kind of what this landing craft is for people who haven't seen this before.
So the LCAC is short for, it's acronym for Landing Craft Air Cushion. So it replaces like the tank landing crafts from World War II, like the LCAT landing craft tank. And it basically, it's a hovercraft that can carry vehicles, either a dozen Humvees or like one Abrams tank. And we got license from Textron to build this thing last year, and it's taking me that long to design it. So this is a 6,700 piece set that you can build it on the hover part, or you can build it so that it's deflated and the ramps come down. But it's the biggest set Brickmania has put out, I think, ever. So 6,700 pieces. It's not quite as big as the Lego's Millennium Falcon, but if you put a tank on it, it would be. So if you put any kind of cargo on it, it's going to be bigger than the Millennium Falcon. So
yeah.
And so how many of those have you made kits for? Because I'm sure you don't have like 1,000 of them waiting to go out.
No, it's a $3,000 set. So the first batch, we put a pre-order out and said, you've got 1 week to decide if you want one of these things to get your foot in the door on the very first batch. And we sold, I think we sold 10 that first week.
Wow.
And then we built 10, and we had to go through the whole process licensing. This is a little bit more complicated because we've never done anything with this company, Textron, who builds these things in real life. And they've never done it either. It was new for them. So it took a little while to get everything approved because obviously they're conscious about their image and they still don't even know the process. So, when we're licensing stuff with people, sometimes we'll have marketing people sign off. we're getting like the president of the company signing the documents. It's kind of interesting. They didn't know what to do either, and it was kind of cool to see this whole process play out. So batch 1 is in the books. They've been shipped out. I'm waiting to see if anybody builds one. It's not an easy build because it's really huge, and I haven't yet had a chance to do a video and explaining some of the finer points of how to build this thing, how to do maintenance on it, how to do changes on it. So that's going to be coming up. I'm looking forward to doing this video. And then right now we have batch 2 in the pipeline. So we did open up for a second batch, and we do have another 10 copies being built. So we're thinking maybe 2 or 3 times a year we'll let people pre-order it, and then we'll build up their kits. And that's it. It's just not going to be like a stock item. We're never going to have any on the shelf. Like that.
This definitely deserves a master builder video showing all the details and
yeah, it's not even as detailed as I wanted to go. I wanted to put like the engine details in and detail the interiors, and we got to the point where it's like 6,700 pieces. I'm like, it's just going to be too expensive, too much. So I dialed it back a little bit.
Well, it still looks fantastic regardless. I can't even wrap my head around that one.
It really is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's over 22 pounds. the box. It has its own handle built into the box. It's pretty insane.
And when you've been kind of as you've been doing Brickmania over the years, was a $3,000 kit ever something that you thought would happen? Is this something you've consciously built to? Because to me that's just crazy. Because it's one thing for you guys to do like your own mocks there and do these really big builds, but then to sell on the market a $3,000 22-pound kit like this is just crazy.
Well, I hadn't considered it, and we got offered the license, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I didn't really consider how big it was going to be. I was like, had a ballpark figure in my head. This is going to be a $1,500 kit. And then I started doing the math on it and building it. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be a lot more involved than I anticipated. So this kind of goes back to the original Brickmania days when we did some of those big castle sets. So there were, I guess, back then it was more or less just me, but that first like guarded church set I did was like over 1,000 pieces. And then if you bought all the add-on components too, because I made all these sort of modular, architecture sets that you add onto it, it could end up being a $3,000 set. And some of the customers actually did buy enough of the components to make these giant cathedrals out of it. So it goes back to the original Brickmania days, like 15, 20 years ago, that we've done sets like this, but they take months to design and complete. So it's not something I particularly want to do all the time, but maybe once every few years we'll do something this size. And there's something else coming up that I'm not working on. One of our other designers, that might be something for another video that we could do a live announcement.
Oh yeah, I like the teasers there. Some exciting
exclusive content.
Yeah. So one of the other builders who's not in this video right now is working on a mega project. So that would be something that would be really nice to, if we could maybe fast forward a couple weeks and do another drop. That would be a live drop. That'd be good.
I like it.
Reveal indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what we can work out there. We're always happy to get out some cool new Brickmania products to folks and show what's going on.
Right. And tell people to watch your video for the live announcement.
The crazy part about it is Cody is working on it literally 15 feet behind me. So
you just lift the webcam up.
Yeah, it's so simple. All you got to
do. Can't show you yet. Not yet.
Fully.
So if you notice behind Landon, there's another USS Missouri. that's the little one. That's the 8-footer.
just the tiny 8-foot one.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
They're just like all over the place around here. Everywhere you turn, there's another Missouri.
Lando, I noticed in the kit we were looking at there, the landing craft, there's some minifigures included, I believe, as well. So what can you tell us about that for people who may be thinking about picking one of these up?
Sure. That's just a simple kind of working uniform, like a deck crew uniform, jumpsuit. And then I think that mustache face originally debuted in the Black Hawk helicopter. Mm-hmm. And I guess Dan liked it so much that I think all 6 crewmen have that really awesome mustache face.
Even the ladies.
Someone was saying that 2020 was the year of the Brickmania mustache face. I don't know. So I guess it's just based off of some what I thought was kind of some iconic faces of the era, and especially, I mean, that debuted with the Blackhawk kit. So yeah.
There was a video when I was doing research for the LCAC where they were interviewing these guys, the crew members for the LCAC, and like 2 of the 5 guys had this crazy mustache. We're like, oh, we got to have this like, you know, it's, I don't know what it was with the Navy, but they had the mustache, and it even, you know, we took the same mustache and we put it on the LPVP, the Higgins boat new model too. It's a similar, it's not the same, but it's a similar big caterpillar in that one as well.
Yep.
So
these mustache prints are inspired by real life then.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Lego has, I mean, great stock minifigure faces, but maybe there's some lacking in historically accurate sunglass mustache combos. So.
Brian's getting some ideas there for his sig fig.
Right, I am. I'm going to shave this whole part off. You know, let's go with this, see what happens. You know, change the branding a little.
Oakley's going to come after us for royalties or something.
Oh, and then I know we were teasing some set announcements earlier. We had a question in the chat from Martin Harris, great builder, featured a lot of his stuff on the channel over the years. He was wondering how long until we get a Dam Busters Lancaster plane. So Dan, where is that?
Well, that's kind of Cody's department. The aircraft, you know, I like building aircraft, but I give my crown to the king. So Cody, when he has time, I'm sure there's going to be a Lancaster in the works.
You gotta get him on that. Is there like a hotline people can send suggestions if they have things they want you to work on or set ideas?
We take suggestions everywhere. I mean, I think the biggest suggestion box is probably our own YouTube comments, and then Instagram, of course. So we pay attention, and it's not necessarily that we consider every single one individually, but when there's a chorus of people saying, hey, this would be a good idea, we start to remember it again and again and again. And you know, it's just, we're like, get that suggestion box going, say what you want to say it multiple places, get your friends to say it, and eventually sooner or later, it'll either end up on a poll or we'll just do it.
Right.
So, we do have polls that we do for like user suggestions and our, you know, content. When you have the Bob Semple there.
Oh, the greatest tank of all time, and Orlando just pulls it out of nowhere.
Undefeated.
Undefeated champion.
Yeah. Talk about the glare.
Well, that's like still in the shrink wrap. One of 50 Bob Semple tanks made.
One of 50.
Actually, one of 48 because 2 of them were taken as display copies. So of the back
background shot.
Look at that.
I have one of the.
That's so epic.
I have one of the lemon squeezer hats on my little figure here. This is what the guy comes with, and it is super awesome. Just a little prototype version, but they are so cool.
What on earth?
It's not the actual figure. This is not the actual Bob Semple, but the hat is.
It's New Zealand Army. It's not.
That's what they look like in New Zealand.
Yeah, with their pink machine guns and bottles of wine.
Yeah, that's intimidating. I'd be afraid of them over anyone else.
Quarantine edition.
So is that kit available still, or is that sold out?
We made one batch scheduled it for April 1st, April Fool's Day. And we were like, well, who's going to believe that we're actually going to do it? So we put it on pre-sale and sold them all like within a weekend. So there was 50 made. We don't know where it's going. It was more of a, let's do it for fun. Nobody's going to believe we're actually going to do it. And lo and behold, it's sold out. So we don't know. We might just leave it at 50 and just like they're out there. It's become, you know, it'll be that you know, like the mouse. It's super rare. People want it, but you know, do we want to keep making it? I don't know.
That's where fans come in. You know, you got to demand more. You know, they listen to the fans over there, and there's enough demand for it that you can probably pull a few more kits out of them.
And that's the truth. We do, you know, I guess money talks, as they say. So if we could get 50 people lined up to say, hey, I want this thing, maybe we'll make more. So It's kind of like the minimum for us is 50, unless it's a exceptionally large kit, then we'll consider doing smaller batches, like as low as 10 or 25. But usually 50 is our threshold. If we can get 50 buyers, it'll be worth our time to do it.
1 out of every 10 gets Dylan's special minifig thrown in. I mean, special.
Can't handle that minifig. He's too dangerous, even for the simple.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like one of the Lando's Randos, which has become, you know, if people don't know this, the Lando's Randos have become one of the most collectible Brickmania items. And they're basically our test prints from our printers. And Landon puts them all together, like he'll collect them all from the printers and make some special items, maybe special head or special, you know, we can sometimes get we'll pitch in some special brick arms or something that are just sort of oddities, and we'll sell them usually as fundraisers every time. You know, if we need to raise some money for something, they make a good, you know, once every 6 months we need to reach a goal, and we'll release a batch of Lando's Randos, or opening a store or something like that. So they're kind of a special occasion things. But what are we on, like wave 6 or 7 or something now?
I lost count. I don't know.
but
They're hordes. They're hordes.
I got one on the screen here, so
hordes.
it is just a test print mismatch of just everything.
Dylan Orlando just went to town on this one.
Well,
They're using this for like test printing, so the helmet there, it's been like scraped off with like a chisel and then like reprinted on. And I mean, it originally just started off as a bunch of scraps on the printer's desks, and I thought it looked kind of cool. So yeah, pretty straightforward. A bunch of different heads too. These will be future randos. So.
How long does it take for you to like design something in whatever program you're using and be able to print it on the figure? Because I would be so just wanting to print stuff all the time and just be like, oh, it's cool to see it physically, and print, and just keep going.
So I think our record is 6 hours from the time we had the idea till we had it up online for sale.
Wow.
We were actually shipping it in 6
And
hours.
shipping it, yeah. So that was our record, but that's really not common.
We got to get that down to 3 hours, okay?
Right.
You better.
Well, remember the incident where the passenger from the United Airlines was reaccommodated, taken off the plane. We had that figure for sale that day. By that evening, do you have one? Because I gave mine away.
Okay, so this is maybe kind of poor taste on our part, but
oh
whatever.
My goodness.
You know,
A frequent flyer.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So we made him, and then he went kind of viral on Reddit, and like lawyers started chiming in. We're like, we better take these offline now. So it kind of exploded, and I think we sold about 70 of them before we lost our nerve and pulled them offline. And the rest of them were distributed for free around the office, like it was a Christmas gift or something.
Oh man!
But it was that day it was available, and you know, we had to pull the plug after 70.
Maybe we should have thought about it for like an hour longer. I don't know.
Once it went to Reddit legal, we were like, okay, there's too many lawyers debating whether or not we're going to get sued. We just better pull the plug.
Yeah.
And what's that quote from Jurassic Park about, like, you were so concerned if you could do it, you never thought stopped to think if you should?
That happens a lot when you get excited with projects. You just get caught up in the moment, and then you're going, and then all of a sudden you've sold 70 minifigures. You're getting a call from a lawyer, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, you get United and the there's too many people involved, so the doctor could have sued us. Anybody still can't. Maybe we shouldn't even be talking about it.
Talking about what? I don't know what you're talking about. This isn't being saved. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
Brian didn't think it was possible, but he found a better product than the new Mario sets. He didn't think he could do it.
You know, Joshua, you said that and not me, for the record. There you go.
Yeah, no, that it is fun to see some of those kind of one-off designs you guys do, or when you kind of go outside just the military stuff and experiment with some of those other things like that.
Yeah.
We had
get easily distracted.
That's a good way to put it.
We should give Brian a shout out to the super chat we had there as well.
Yes, I cannot identify the name, but they say, nice to meet you. I used a translator because I live in Korea, but I am sorry if I got it wrong. You got it perfectly. So thank you for that super chat of, I don't know what denomination that is. I'm going to Google that right now.
We have a Korean fan, so thank you for donating to Brian's lunch fund here in the live stream.
There you go.
That one, that is going right to Chipotle. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm not kidding. Greatly appreciate it.
We did have a couple other questions in the chat. We had Martin Van Wezel here. I hope I pronounced that correct. He had a couple kind of two-part questions. So I'll start with this first one, which was if there was a theme that you would consider expanding to beyond the military theme, what would you like to see kind of Brickmania create? And I think all three of you guys can answer this. It will start with you, Dylan. Is there a theme that you've had in mind? You think, hey, there's a lot of talented builders there at Brickmania. Maybe it'd be worth trying this out. Is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so I know when I first was doing my interview and came to the MOA and GHQ store, the stuff that caught me was the sci-fi stuff, especially the war rig, just because of the scale and how awesome it is. And it's cool when you can relate stuff to movies. But then I think what really took it away was the space race. And then seeing that come back last year a little bit with the astronaut, and then this year again with the rover, that is really exciting for me. So I'm happy to see that stuff coming back.
So those kits were really great and kind of expanded outside of just the military stuff. So maybe we'll see more of that in the future. Who knows? And then how about you, Lando? What is there anything you've had in the back of your mind for a while that you kind of been pushing for?
I guess I'm just personally pretty interested in the space race as well. And I mean, I guess this goes back to military, but Cold War stuff and the tying in with that space race. I grew up next to a military radar station in the desolate wastelands of northern North Dakota. So I don't know, maybe those radar waves fried my brain. But
I was going to say that explains a few things, but go ahead.
Yes. I think that whole era of the Cold War is just the tech race behind it all is really, really interesting. And then tying in with the space race and everything. So yeah, I love that. I love that era.
Right. Yeah. There's so many great possibilities there as well. And then Dan, what about you? Is there something you have in the works?
So many things that you could go into. I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to build everything. It would be like, what haven't I built yet? And that would be the thing that I would build. I would have to brainstorm. I'd go get a National Geographic magazine, flip through the pages and go, hey, I can build that. And that's where I would, the sky's the limit. That's the cool thing about Lego. So Brickmania does these historic builds, and we're special. We specialize it, and I've become quite knowledgeable in it. But there's so many other things, and we discuss like a near future sort of sci-fi. We're all interested in the sci-fi stuff and the space race stuff, but it's just a minefield with licenses. And if we could just make up our own universe, then we wouldn't have to deal with it. Which, of course, you're making up your own universe and trying to explain it to people who have, you're presenting it in Lego. It presents a challenge. And we sort of like started brainstorming it for a day or two and all kind of like retired into our own corners, trying to think about like, how are we going to convey this to the public, and never reconvened on that. But that would be something I'd like to pursue, is some sort of our own, sci-fi universe or near future or post Armageddon, something like that. That would be a fun thing that we can, just explore forever and have different universes come into it.
You could absolutely do it. I would love to see how you guys do that, and you got the talent for it and the resources. And I'm a big fan of color, as you may be able to tell by my background. So if there was something like sci-fi related that was, like colorful or more like, I don't know how sci-fi you would take it, in what direction, but I have full faith that you guys would do an excellent job with that. And with the audience that purchases your kits now, I'm sure they'd be able to understand whatever you guys come up with and all the lore that could go with that, and really extrapolate on that. That'd be amazing to see.
So, Brian, what I'm hearing is that you want us to militarize the friend sets.
Yes.
Right? That's what I heard?
Yes.
Cool. That's what I heard too.
You might be onto something, because, you have all the powder pink rifles. And,
Oh, yeah.
Really, I think that's a market you guys might, you're onto something there. You got a good guy over there, Dan. Yeah.
Brian's always willing to spitball ideas and just throw stuff out.
If you need awfully outlandish ideas, just hit me up. Slide into the DMs for days.
Right.
You don't have to pay me nothing. Just I'll just spitball.
The thing is we would get so far out there. I don't know if we'd ever come back. Like, oh, we have to build stuff to sell. I mean, that's kind of the harsh reality is that we'd have to be able to pitch this to our customers and get them excited about it, and have a believable universe that we would have to come up with everything in it, and then almost like create the story first. Right. That's why it's so easy to let's just steal somebody else's idea because the universe is recognizable. Star Wars has its own universe and its own laws of physics and invisible forces and things like that. And same with Star Trek. So it's really easy just to grab somebody else's, but you have to come up with that on your own and try not to sound like you're copying somebody. That's that's what puts us in a place let's just think about this and what do we want to do? Where do we want to base this? And that's, we would all spend hours just coming up with ideas. When it comes down to it, in the end, we're still a building company. We have to build stuff.
Right.
Put stuff out for people to want to buy it. Right.
So what I would recommend, and this is a free idea for you.
Okay.
April 1st, 2021, a powder pink tank with a Friends minifigure. You put it out there oh, it's just a joke. If you want to buy it, you can. And then you find out 25 people buy it and you're like, well, here you go. And then that's the start. Just saying. Throwing it out there.
I have a lot of good ideas.
I think we could get more than 25 people to buy it.
I think so too. I'm trying to be modest here. I have full faith you could go a lot further than 25, but
you guys, I know when we visited the headquarters in the past, I feel like I've seen builds like that around. Now, maybe they weren't an official kit, but have you experimented with different models like that?
So when we had Andrew Summers with us over this last summer, he had the Hello Kitty tank.
That's what it was, yeah.
The Hello Kitty tank was, I think it's even won some awards and whatnot, but that thing was, it even caught my eye where I was like, what is that? And it's awesome.
Pink Abrams, basically.
There you go. Yeah, you just got to turn it into an official kit now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Does it ever get tiring building with a lot of gray or some of those kind of not super bright colors? Because you were talking about you're gonna have the giant Missouri still built along next to the giant Macon Island. Those are both gonna be large gray ships. Is there kind of a pull to you at all, Dan, to be oh, maybe I'll try to do something super colorful?
They're all really colorful on the inside. So right now I'm working on the Macon Island, and I'm realizing I'm building on one side, and we have our cameras that are doing the time lapse are on the other side. So for the first part of the video, all they're going to see is this brightly colored thing because they're seeing what I'm looking at as the backside, and I'll eventually get around to the other side of the hull, and all of a sudden it'll be gray, and all the color will be hidden. But I am building with a lot of color. Just in the end product, you just won't see it.
So for your personal, builds then, or you personally, then there is color involved. It's just not something that other people see.
Right. No, it's there. It's just, it's not so much for the public to see.
The other question that Martin had that I wanted to have, Dan, I think you could answer this well, was what do you build for fun that would never be made into a Brickmania product? So are there things you're just kind of working on at home or something, or maybe you're just throwing stuff together that you would never actually turn into a product?
TAC helicopters. So somebody's streaming something. I can hear it. I'm hearing an echo here. It's kind of funny. No, this is a Cobra. I'm making it for the Macon Island. Making cool stuff just for the displays that we can't make sets out of, unfortunately.
Why is that? Because that's a great looking model you had there. So explain why would you not turn that into a kit?
Well, sort of the reality that we're dealing with now is licensing. So we opened a can of worms with licensing, and a couple of companies have contacted us and said, "Hey, you can't do this because that's our trademark." And it sort of opened up a door to oh, we have to get permission to do some of this stuff. So we've gone from kitchen table, small building company doing stuff for the very narrow, I guess elite people that know of Brickmania, to a more wider mainstream audience, and we've caught the attention of some of these companies. So right now, we can only build stuff that we either have permission for, or we feel comfortable that it's enough time has passed, or we're not going to step on anybody's toes with the IP that we can get away with doing it, which is why our entire sci-fi theme just disappeared because once you start getting, we didn't get a cease and desist or anything like that, but we started getting the attention of people who could, have the power to shut us down. So we're like, okay, we're not going to be able to do these things without permission. So we are actively seeking permission from companies that we're doing their products for. And once we pop up on the radar, we can't unpop up on the radar.
Right,
so
exactly.
When we talk to Bell and say, hey, we want to make your helicopters, and they say, well, sorry, you can't.
You can't just go ahead and make it and hope no one says anything.
Right. And they actually asked us not to make the Huey. So it was, I think they had maybe sold the license or made an agreement with somebody else. And so there, very, very seldomly do we get somebody to say, you can't do that. But we had a very specific request that we don't do it. It wasn't a threat. It was just more like, hey, this is, if you ever want to be able to work with us in the future, this is what we ask of you now. So we had to stop doing it. So right now, no Hueys, no Ospreys. Not saying, and they're being like, it's not like it's a permanent thing, but for right now, it's off the table. Down the road, anything can happen. So we're hopeful. We do have official licenses, like with Textron. We're doing the Lockheed Martin stuff. We're doing the Sikorsky stuff. And that's all, we have contracts with them. So that's all legitimate. We're using these brands, with their names with permission. Same with Humvee. Our Humvee line completely stopped because we were talking to them. And until we got official, we couldn't put anything out. We couldn't even acknowledge that we were talking to them. So, you start getting into non-disclosure agreements and it gets a little tricky.
Right. That makes everything more complicated.
Right. And then, of course, there's this whole issue with Lego that's kind of hanging over our head. That Lego doesn't want to be, we're not supporting these, we don't have an agreement with Lockheed Martin. So therefore, it's really tricky for us. Is we have to completely navigate a minefield. Like Lego doesn't want to be seen as endorsing any of these companies either without some sort of official license. So we have to be on the low key, basically disclaimer everything. We're doing this completely unofficial. This is not, but we are official with these people. They said we could do this. So it's complicated.
Well, and when you think about the size of the companies like Lego, Lockheed Martin, Sikorsky, Bell, all these places, it's like, we're kind of like a mouse running with a herd of buffalo, and it's like, these are some huge international companies. And, we obviously have aspirations to grow as much as we can, but at the same time, we're not exactly toe to toe with Lockheed and Lego right now.
I think your headquarters building is cooler still though. So, you've got that up on them.
Yeah. Well, our building arguably made components used in some of those products from Lockheed Martin, and especially during World War II and shortly after. There's some interesting things that were built in this building that, to this day, I don't think anybody's going to be able to talk about. So.
I like Brendan in the chat here says, my fiance hates what you guys do to our finances. Keep it up. So I'm glad he's a fan there, and I hope everything works out with your fiance. But thank you for supporting Brickmania. I'm glad you like the product.
I totally appreciate it. And just so you guys know that, Brickmania is a good investment. Keep your boxes, keep everything. Because you see, again and again, we do these auctions. Our stuff, it sells for more on the auction than it originally did. So, and then when you see stuff going on the aftermarket, you'll see stuff for sale on eBay and other places with box, sometimes in box, and they'll go for many times more than the original product. So it seems to be a good investment. I haven't seen any of our products go down in value unless it's like heavily played with, but it's just like Lego collectors. Brickmania is just, it's a different kind of collector. And, I think it's a good investment. I think you'll be able to it'll retain its value. We're not going to get bought out by anybody. It's not going to become mass produced. It's all still going to be handmade in small batches.
That's got to be a good feeling to know that people want your guys' products that much that they go up in value when they're retired. That must be awesome.
Well, sometimes sets go right from Brickmania. They sell out, and a couple days later, you'll see them online on eBay for $200 more than the original. And it kind of drives us crazy At the same time, that's real. We can't do anything about it either. And they sell. So
yeah.
The only thing we can do to drive some of that behavior down is to make those particular products available again. So
right.
The big thing that we did was those Lunar Astronauts last year, and we sold them for $25. They go for $75 on eBay now. So we're bringing back we're calling it the Apollo Astronaut now because it fits in with more of our theme of talking about each individual product by the mission it was on. So it's now the Apollo Astronaut will be coming back, and hopefully that will drive down the sort of aftermarket, shenanigans going on. I think there's either people bootlegging our stuff or they're hoarding it to resell later. We appreciate that it does appreciate in value, but we don't want people taking advantage of our customers either.
Yeah, you would rather get that money from people than somebody else. Yeah,
Lando's got this. This is the Lunar Rover that we've been working on, the LRV. So it's Lego. Yitzi designed this thing a couple of years ago before he left Brickmania, and we had it in the can waiting to go, and then pulled it out, just put it on the schedule, decided we're gonna take a 3D printer and make our own parts for it. So those wheels that are on there, the fender covers, and that big radio antenna that looks like an umbrella, those are all custom parts that we've made for this kit. That's the Apollo Astronaut, or originally the Lunar Astronaut that's sitting on it. So sitting side by side with one of Lego's astronauts.
The 3D printing stuff you guys are doing is really cool. I remember last time we were at the headquarters, you guys were talking about that. I think it was relatively recently when we were there last, but is that still something you've continued to kind of ramp up and do more with?
Well, yeah, actually it is. So I don't know how it happened, but we ended up with 5 of these really high-tech 3D printers. Like
they just showed up.
they just show up and they go, "Hey, do you guys want to buy it? We screwed up. We sent you too many." So we have 5 production 3D printers now, and our goal is like if we can make parts in small batches, like these are too small for injection molding. Nobody's going to want 100,000 Lunar Rover wheels, but we can 3D print a few hundred of them, and that's what we're doing. So all kind of like stuff for our kits. Like we want a special gun or a special muzzle brake that we only want in small batches. We can do it with the 3D printing. So we can make accessories. We don't think we're ever going to be able to replace the Lego parts, but the things that make each model special, somewhat unique, we'll be able to 3D print them and then make those available to our customers.
Right. It's another unique thing that Brickmania can offer to people, which I think is really cool.
And the quality is there. I mean, that's the weird thing about the 3D printing. A few years ago, we bought our first 3D printer. It was like, this is cool to make little widgets to hold the lens or hold the lights on your camera or something like that, but we couldn't, there's no quality to the parts. And just in a few short years, the parts that we're able to make and it's amazing the sort of technology that we have at our fingertips now. So this helmet that Lando's showing up, the helmet and the pack that's on our Apollo Astronaut, that's all 3D printed. So 3D printed, then painted, and then UV printed on top of it. So, we're basically just kind of pushing limits. Oh, and I forgot the telescoping golf club there. Oops. He's going to run out of oxygen real fast. The joys of live TV.
Yeah, and the goal with all this 3D printing stuff, obviously we all love Lego here, but there's just some parts that they don't really do, and they're not necessarily things that are integral to the build. It's more just like adding additional detail to it, and just sort of taking it to the next level, or imagining where Lego would go, maybe if they were trying to replicate some of the things that we were doing. So just our thought behind that.
Right. And we were actually, that lunar lander came out. We had actually had our Lunar Astronaut on the schedule. This was back when we were doing the space race. It was on the schedule to come out, the anniversary of the moon landing. And just and obviously Lego has the same calendar. They look at the same history. So they had this lander coming out, which we had planned on doing a long time ago as well. But we canceled it when we canceled our space race theme, but we left the minifig on there. So it just it was a coincidence that Lego came out with a lander exactly the same time that we came out with our own Lunar Astronaut figure. And we wanted to push the limits of what we could do with the minifigure. That's why we came up with a new helmet and a new pack that wasn't originally in our plans, but we wanted to go beyond what I guess Lego was offering in this category. So Lego on the left and ours on the right.
Yeah, you just look at the level of detail on the Brickmania minifig there compared to the Lego one. It's crazy.
Well, and Lego went through the whole trouble of getting permission to use the NASA logo, and they didn't go through the trouble of making the minifigure look like an actual NASA astronaut. So that was disappointing to us. So, I guess once we saw that figure, we were like, we can do better. We have to do better. We have to set ourselves apart.
It also has to do with, Lego doesn't have any bonds to necessarily historical accuracy with that kind of stuff. Whenever we're going to undertake a project like that, we want all of our things to blur the line between Lego and just what a model would be, and so that's kind of an example of us doing that there is in everything we do, we try to take it to the next level, regardless of what Lego is doing. We know what we're capable of, and that's an example of the comparison between the two.
Right. Lando, when you look at a Lego minifigure like that, are you looking at some official Lego minifigures occasionally to see what they do and then kind of see like, how can I expand on this or make it better or get inspiration from that?
Yeah, I guess I'm always trying to see what Lego. I try to keep up with them to see how their art style is changing, and I'm trying to make it in the same universe. I guess I just grew up with Lego, since forever. So. And like I've always really been interested in it, and obviously love the minifigures. So I guess that comes hopefully naturally, that my art style complements the Lego universe, and then maybe expands upon it in a logical direction. So for something like this astronaut suit, definitely poring over real life historical references, and it is really interesting just to see where everything ties together, because this is the suit is a direct lineage from just Navy pressure suits from prior to that era. So it's really interesting. I had already made that previous, I think the Navy Mark IV pressure suit. It's a logical evolution up to the lunar landing suit. So just a lot of fun researching both Lego and obviously historical sources.
Yeah, that's so cool to see the level of historical accuracy that you can get in that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Jeff, who gave a $5 super chat a while back in the stream. So he asked, would you be interested in ideas thrown your way to the Brickmania crew? And you're always welcome to reach out. I think they've got email addresses, YouTube comments, however you want to do that. You can certainly send their ideas, and they'll take that into account when they can, and see what they can incorporate when they have the opportunity.
I think we actually have a form you can fill out on our blog that literally what you want us to make. It's like
if you explore enough in any Brickmania location, you will find a way to leave a comment for a suggestion. So feel free to go wherever.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, so people, you can send your feedback for sure, and they'll take that into account.
Yeah, we enjoy getting receiving criticism, positive or negative. We're not above criticism, so it's okay to get it, and we're also open to suggestions. So we pay attention to everything. Some things we may not be able to respond individually, but sometimes whenever we have time, we take the time to acknowledge that feedback is greatly appreciated and accepted.
I will say, just in the same breath with that, though, don't expect Brickmania's 6-hour turnaround time when you leave an Instagram comment. Don't expect to be able to leave a comment on Instagram and 6 hours later find your product on the website.
Right. That's one of the things with these licensing agreements that we're like looking at scheduling releases years out now, because the licensing agreements actually have a lifespan, and we have to be able to predictably say this is going to be coming out in this sort of time period. So the schedule, incredibly, we're scheduling out to 2023 now with our production.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we're like completely filled up, but there are definitely projects that are going to be hitting certain dates, certain windows, 2.5, 3 years from now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose that's closer to what kind of Lego, the company themselves, do with their workflow. I know that's kind of a lot of their sets. They're that far out, so it makes sense that as you're getting more people involved, doing more kits, then you kind of work further out like that.
Yeah, and if it involves other people besides us, it makes it even more complicated. So, yeah, it's a strange new thing that we're doing. You know, every week we're doing something different. It's always like new ground.
I wanted to make sure we respond to some of the other comments in chat. So here's Cotton Lum says, I wish there was more Israeli tanks from Brickmania. So I'm trying to think, have you guys done Israeli kits in the past?
We've had the AMX and the Super Sherman for tanks specifically, and then the Merkava as well.
Yeah, so we've done 3. Well, I mean, a lot of the Israeli stuff is it's repurposed from other countries. So the M60 tank, for example, was used by the M48, the M60. They had IS-2s, they had IS-3s, T-55s, and it's all stuff that we've done, and just under the original nationalities. And of course, they've been either captured or purchased by the Israelis and used themselves. So they use the M113 armored personnel carrier. It's the same one that the Americans use. It just has a different name because it's Israeli. So there's not a whole lot of native Israeli armor vehicles. Most of their stuff is from other nations. So we do it. It's just that we haven't done like a Israeli branded or flagged versions. It's possible we will. We've been talking about doing other nationality sticker packs that would be, you could turn our F-16 into an Israeli F-16. We just haven't done it because there's certain things like colors and stuff that Israeli vehicles are different colors than the American counterparts or European counterparts.
Right, so you got to deal with whatever the real life vehicles are like, and trying to translate that doesn't always work the best.
Right, and I've seen a lot of people doing second, third generation. They'll take our models and then they'll make their own version of it. They'll either purchase our model or get the instruction books. And so I've seen some Israeli Cobras. I've seen some Israeli F-16s that are based on our models, but they're not Brickmania models. They're definitely fan created models, and they look great. And we love seeing people customize our stuff. We love seeing people take what we've built as a set and then make it their own.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with customizing a Brickmania kit. That's not against the rules for anyone out there who wants to get some Brickmania products and then put their own spin on it.
Right. We encourage that sort of activity. It is Lego after all.
That's right. I know Lando mentioned earlier about Cold War products. If somebody asked, will there be a Brickmania Berlin wall set? And is that something you've considered?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to do, Dan.
A wall set? Yeah, I don't know. I think, doesn't Lego already lend itself to making walls? So do we need a actual official Brickmania Berlin wall? We did a Berlin Brigade set with the
Chieftain.
Chieftain, yes. So it was in the Berlin Brigade camouflage, and Andrew Summers got in a lot of trouble for sneaking some dirty graffiti in the background on the Berlin Wall. But so
we'll make the tank. The fans can build the wall.
Yeah.
There you go. The fans should be able to handle building the wall portion.
I hope so.
Another question we got here, this is something I meant to ask you about earlier when we were kind of talking about the headquarters and opening back up and bringing people back in, was for the Brickmania stores, which I don't think we really touched on much earlier. So with the various stores you have around the country now, are those all open at the moment, or what is going on with the stores and if people can visit those?
Well, it's a little different state by state. So Virginia never shut down, technically.
Okay.
So the Virginia store, it's been little advertised. I don't know if either we were like kind of afraid to draw attention to ourselves because we fall into a sort of a gray area that we can enforce social distancing in the store. We're not having games, and we could have 10 people or less in the store. So that was something that fell within the bounds of what we could do with Virginia. We just reduced the hours that we were open. The stores in Chicago, the store in Chicago closed first. That was ordered shut before the store in Minneapolis, but they have been shut. As of this week, we can open both the Chicago and the Minneapolis stores for pickup. I know that we are open. I think our hours, I think we're Tuesday through Saturday now. So I think tomorrow the Chicago store will be open. I'm not 100% sure that we will be ready here at the GHQ store to be open tomorrow. But that would be it. That's a Tuesday through Saturdays are our sort of quarantine hours. We used to be open 7 days a week, and I hope we can be open 7 days a week soon. It's just a matter of recalling people, and if they want to come back to work, we can do it. We just want to make sure it's safe for our customers and safe for the employees.
Sure, that's kind of safety. I think is always the number one priority with all of that. So that certainly makes sense, and you don't want any undue virus spreading in any of the stores or the headquarters.
No, and if we shut, if some part of the headquarters gets shut down, we have like almost 25, 30 people here, not all at the same time, but if we have to shut down a room or a group of people because somebody gets sick, that could really drastically affect our production. Not only that, but we don't want anybody here to get hurt or sick. So we're thinking about ways. Even here, we have meetings. We wear masks. we wear masks. We basically we're conscious about what we can do. We're even adding to our production schedule built in, like, hey, we're going to quarantine these parts before the next group of people handles them. So we're actually thinking about that stuff. We don't want to jeopardize our employees, jeopardize our schedule, that sort of tenuous schedule that we have right now. We feel lucky that we're able to continue doing what we're doing, and want to make sure we can in the future.
I also noticed in the chat. Let's see. John just put a question up on screen, so you guys can see that there. So yeah, what are your store locations or plans for new stores to open? So you can just run through that real quick. Maybe Dylan, if you want to do that for people who aren't aware of kind of where your stores are at this point.
Yeah, so we get that question very often. So right now, we're predominantly located in the Midwest. So we have a Minneapolis location that is the GHQ store, and then we also have a location in Schaumburg, Illinois, which we call the Chicago store, and then we have a location in Chantilly, Virginia, which we call the Capital store. So those are the three open and operating Brickmania retail locations right now. And then everybody's asking, where's the next one going to come? Is it going to come to Texas? Is it going to Alabama? Is it Canada? France? Wherever? I think the tentative plan was maybe to give the West Coast some love, but considering everything, all the situations that we've been through currently, that's still very much so up in the air.
And one thing we should remind our customers that these stores don't open themselves. It takes a lot of energy away from the Brickmania crew, not just energy, but a lot of money too. So a store, getting a store from bare walls to open to the public is probably a $250,000 investment. And when you're talking about a company that's making 50 kits at a time, $250,000 is it's a lot of money to save to open a store. So we can't just take out a loan and open a store here, open a store there. They have to actually pay for themselves. So we actually moved all of our stores and opened a new one last year, and we're still paying for that. So before we get crazy about opening our next store, we want to make sure that we financially recover some of the cost of opening the stores that we've just opened or moved. And with them being closed, right now it's not a good time for us to be thinking of where the next one is. So as much as we want to open the next store as soon as possible, we have to be realistic about the schedule, the costs. And as Dylan said, I think the next store is probably going to be on the West Coast. We were talking about Seattle, talking about the Bay Area, talking about Southern California. It's up in the air. I think those are the places that we probably do the best. We have huge fan bases out there, and we have every time we go to the West Coast, we have people travel up and down the coast to come and see us. So that's a promising, show that there's demand. We would definitely like to be in Texas. Definitely like to be in the Southeast as well. So.
Brian, this is your chance to pitch for the Boston area. What can they offer Brickmania? Get all those Brickmania fans in that area excited.
Yeah, hey, there's plenty of history all throughout here, so yeah, you're always welcome in the Northeast. I promise.
Well, I will say when we open up Brickmania Honolulu, we will be relocating the marketing department to that location. So you guys will be able to check in with me down at the Brickmania Honolulu location. I'll probably be moving my entire life down there.
You can find Dylan in a little pagoda on Waikiki Beach.
Yep.
If you have any questions.
It'll be located in Gun Tub number 3, Missouri.
I like your plans there. I thought it was cool in the chat. We've had a couple of people that I think run Bricklink stores that Brickmania buys from. So Augustine King says Brickmania orders from us all the time. So cool to see you. Jeremy from Sonic Boom Brick says he appreciates your business. So I'm glad we've got, I think, some Bricklink stores represented here.
Well, that just goes to show you how interconnected this Lego community is. The aftermarket community all depends on each other for survival. So I think there's a lot of people that were afraid that when the quarantine happened, Brickmania was going to shut down, and a lot of people on Bricklink and depend on us for a chunk of their livelihood, and we likewise we depend on them as our supply chain. So super happy that no major suppliers shut down, and super happy to say that we're actually increased our production. We're probably up 10 to 20%. So that means 10 to 20% more going to Bricklink. Lego has shut down part of their mail order operation, so that's just more money going to Bricklink. So glad that we can help the Bricklink stores.
Has Lego buying Bricklink affected what you guys are able to do with that at all?
Not yet. I'm hopeful it won't. The only noticeable difference I've seen is that they've changed the names of some of the colors just to match what their internal colors are. There's no flesh anymore. It's now nougat. So it took us a while to figure out what the new names were, but otherwise there's been no major changes. Otherwise, now we know they're tracking us.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's sort of ominous. We don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect anybody. And I think that this community, if we feel negatively affected, we'll probably jump ship to another platform. If we built one, we can build another. I mean, Brickmania has been around since before Bricklink, so I think I'm Bricklink user number 27 or something. I'm definitely just double digit. Wow. So I was a member of Bricklink before it was open to the public. Look at it that way.
Yes, early adopter. That's what Dan.
I had a lot of bricks to get rid of.
We've also got some people in the chat who are excited and pointing out that the Brickmania YouTube channel just passed 50,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So congratulations on that, guys. I know, Dylan, that's something you're involved with a lot. So for people who haven't checked that out, tell people kind of about the content that they can find over there and what people can expect if they want to start following Brickmania on YouTube.
Yeah, well, the 50K sub thing is pretty cool because that means we get to give this away.
Oh, nice.
Stay tuned for that. So we've been looking forward to that. But yeah, so our YouTube content has been consistently evolving when it comes to the way we want to engage our fans. I think this quarantine chronicle period was interesting for us because it was very experimental and very segmented, and a lot of people remotely checking in. But our core has always been, kind of our designers' desks and our product videos. And really that's someone who's incredibly knowledgeable, not only about the history, but also what it took to build those kits. And then just kind of discussing the different things that go into those kits, and then also the features that the kit has. And so I think that's really the bread and butter of our channel, is exactly, how the designers break down these incredible builds.
Right. So there's lots of kind of behind the scenes stuff over there on their channel that people should definitely check out if you're a fan of Brickmania or just want to see, how people design like really cool Lego kits just in general, because, even though they do sell these are also just like fantastic mocks on their own. So you can get some of that design inspiration just by watching those videos. Well,
and we have a team here that really enjoys, our YouTube content and making videos and doing other goofy things and whatnot. And so, that is not only an entertaining place, but also a good place to just be checking in if you want to be kind of first in the know, or even just hear, things get leaked sometimes, because we'll be sitting around discussing a sit rep and we'll say something, we'll be like, oh, I guess it's out there now, and just kind of keep rolling with it. So you never really know when that's going to happen.
Right. So lots of fun stuff happening over there. So if you have not subscribed to Brickmania on YouTube, check that out. And then there's also, you mentioned the set giveaway. So how do people enter to win that?
So we're going to make that call once we hit 50,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So we will be releasing a video probably as soon as tomorrow around midday to let people know exactly what they need to do to get their hands on this, which I think, Dan, is this the last Johnston now?
There might be one in Virginia. I think there's one in Virginia. Last I heard, there was one in Virginia. This one actually came from Chicago. We had one in each store. The last one from Minneapolis went out when we were shutting down. Thought we were going to be shut down for months, and so we put that up online. And then we got this one from Chicago. But I believe, as of now, there may be one in Virginia. But there's not going to be any more. There was just one batch of 50.
So there you have it. Stay tuned tomorrow. Figure out how you could be the acquirer of this amazing kit. This thing is heavy too. I mean, it's in the PT box already, but like this thing has got some weight to it.
It's 4 feet long. I mean, the box is half the size of the model that's inside of it. So
that's an impressive model. So yeah, you don't want to miss out on that. So definitely make sure to check out Brickmania's YouTube channel for the set giveaway, as well as all the cool content they pump out over there, because there's a lot of really neat stuff they're doing, including somebody had a question about more of just a request wanting Brickmania to do more stop motion animations. And so sort of animation type content is another thing you'll sometimes do on the YouTube channel over there. Dan, is that something that there's plans for more of in the future?
Yes, actually, we're working on. It's kind of like what we do when there is extra time, which is hardly ever. So these animated short videos that we do, we used to do one like once a month or even once a week. We'd have just like a little animated clip at the intro of each section. But they're really, really, really time consuming. And so something that's only like 2 minutes on the screen might take 2 or 3 months to actually animate. We did a couple historical things. We've done them a lot, but it's definitely like something that we can't really monetize. So, unless it's advertising a product, we just don't have a lot of time to put into it. We do have one animation in the works right now, though. So there is a new video coming out. I'm not sure when the timeline is going to be on that one, but we do have more videos in the works. It's something we enjoy doing. But like I said, unless we can figure out how to make money doing it, it's kind of a distraction from what our core business is. So, which is selling kits. And the people that are making these animations actually are people putting together our packaging, doing our promotion or action shots. So all the stuff that you see on our boxes is not real Lego. We take what we make in real life, digitize it, and then animate it so that when you look at a box cover, you're not actually looking at bricks. You're looking at a 3D render of our models, and that's super time consuming to do. So and then add on top of that, putting animation, putting other video effects on it. It's really time consuming. I think this one video, this World War I video, it took an entire month to do, and it ends up only being like 60 seconds worth of video footage. So someday when we can figure out when we find a sugar daddy to fund our video operations, we'll expand the video.
Hey, if anyone would like to step up, feel free to fill out one of those forms we were talking about earlier.
If you know anyone, Josh.
Yeah.
keep the animations going, because they are very well done. It's really neat stuff when you guys have the opportunities to do it. But yeah, it's certainly very understandable, really time intensive, and there's lots of other work that needs done at Brickmania.
Right. And we would love to do them all day long. And we've gotten in kind of over our head on some of the projects that we've had to shelf because it's like, oh, this is it's more work than we have time for. But I think we now have the ability to put one out maybe once or twice a year. We'll come up with a new animation just, in our spare time.
The guy, the slingshot
in
World War I planes.
I put a moratorium. I was like, I don't want to see anybody get shot. And so they're like, well, can we put a slingshot in? Like, I guess.
I love that, because that also is something that kind of reminds me of something you'd see in like the TT Lego games, something like in those animations. That's the kind of thing they would do there as well. So I feel like it fits within that universe.
Yeah. We didn't want to have anybody like no decapitations, no people getting blown up on screen, because even though we're not selling our product necessarily to kids, kids are going to be watching it, so we kind of have to keep it clean. We really are selling our products to adult kids, but we want to make it safe and friendly for all ages.
We have another question in chat here from a fan in Spain, and they're wondering, do your instruction books come in different languages like Spanish? Is that something that you guys do or have maybe thought about doing in the future?
Well, the only texts that are in the instruction books are the historical parts. So we could theoretically translate it and then license it to a publisher in another country. So, which would make more sense because those books are heavy. They weigh a couple of pounds, like a kilogram per one book. And to ship that overseas is prohibitively expensive. So we could do them in other languages and have them published locally. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Just we haven't gotten that far. Right now, we print everything in-house. And, if you're building the kit, there's no language required. It's all pictures. So very rarely do we put any text at all in the instructions.
Yeah, it's a lot like the official Lego kits as well. You don't really need text to be able to build the model.
Yeah, it's the instructions are in the classic Lego style where you're just building, linear. You start with the bottom and you work your way to the top, or however makes the most sense for that particular model.
Totally, that makes sense. So yeah, if people want to pick up those books, then you can basically, no matter what language you speak, I think you can follow the instructions that Brickmania puts together for you.
I would hope so.
I know you have talked about, and for people who saw the videos we did last year with some of the Brickmania guys in the Tank Museum in Bovington in England, I know you guys have talked about wanting to expand more, especially to Europe and doing some things like that. So are there still plans somewhere down the road? Is that still something you have in mind of possibly opening stores or something along those lines?
Well, it's possible, and even just working with our distribution partners, like say Brickismo over there in Europe, we don't know. I mean, we could possibly open a store. I am technically an Italian citizen. I just don't have an Italian passport, so I'm not allowed to go just show up in Italy right now and say, hey, I'm going to open a store, or in Europe. But that's in the works. I'm actually pursuing that. So there could be a possibility of an official Brickmania Europe, either store or maybe distribution point or something at some point. So, someplace to order from. And that's either going to be on our own, and hopefully we'd be able to use our existing partners, because I don't want to put any of our friends out of business by, hey, look, we don't need you anymore. We're opening our new Brickmania thing. Thanks for your support. We're not that kind of people. We don't want to screw anybody over. So we want to make sure that whatever we do is going to be on the up and up. But yeah, there's definitely opportunities. We keep getting invited to European shows. Unfortunately, the cost of getting there is really prohibitive, and then having merchandise shipped over is tricky because of the taxes. And also even intellectual property rights are different in Europe than they are here. That Lego has a lot more say of what people do with their bricks in Europe. Even going so far to say that anything built out of Lego is actually their property. I would argue that probably till I turn blue in the face, but I don't want to necessarily start something over there and then have Lego trying to seize what we're doing or meddle with what we're doing. Not saying that they're nefarious, but they, it's a large company and they can steamroller a fan-based operation really quickly.
Sure, yeah. So you got to be careful with that. But I'm sure that you guys have a lot of fans in Europe, so it'd definitely be cool to see you expanding more into there. Here's some of the footage John's sharing from our visit to the Tank Museum. If you haven't checked those videos out, I thought they were fantastic. I thought it was super cool to see the Brickmania models on top of the real tanks. So we got a bunch. We posted on Beyond the Brick. You can go back and find those if you look for just search around for the Tank Museum footage in Brickmania. Then you can find it. But yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We hope we'll be able to do stuff like that again. We're still in contact with Bovington, the Tank Museum, and potentially doing more stuff with them. It's just a little tricky because of the international borders and the shipping and us getting there. It wasn't like we could just hop in the car, drive to Chicago. It's like we actually have to plan these things months out and then make sure it's worth everybody's time. We have enough time to do everything we want to do, and it works in a schedule. So maybe at a future Tank Fest or Tiger Day or something, we will be back at the Tank Museum. But you can for sure see Brickmania once things open up again. We'll be participating in events all over the world. Want to get to Australia. Want to get to Asia, maybe Japan, back over to Hong Kong or China at some point. But we'll definitely be back in Europe too. So that's definitely on the horizon. it's not off the table, and it's something that we're pursuing as we can do it.
You got to represent globally. I like it. We got another question in the chat from Kevin Hinkle wondering, will Brickmania be releasing camo/branded face masks during this time? And I personally would like to see Lando modeling a line. There we go. I think you've got him all ready to go. I have those available for sale.
Well, we've been talking to manufacturers. So I have a Brickmania one. This is made off of a Brickmania shirt. But it does say, I don't know if you can see it does say Brickmania right on it. It's really hard to get anything custom made as far as masks go right now. There's plenty of companies will do it, but they'll charge you an arm and a leg to do it. We actually did design a Brickmania mask, and we're still trying to get it made. It's just a matter of because it's everybody in the world is doing that right now, and the manufacturers are kind of overwhelmed, and we would basically, I would say that people who need it more, like the first responders, should get first dibs, and then we'll eventually be able to get it for us and our customers. And we didn't find enough masks for all of our employees, but we getting stuff made above and beyond in big quantities it's something we're pursuing, but it's not our number one priority.
So yeah, Kevin, you might have to wait a little bit longer, but they're working on it.
Maybe for the next pandemic, we'll be ready. No, I'm teasing. It is something that we are looking at.
Yes, we'll look forward to that then. I also, John Wilkinson said in the chat, I appreciate the fantastic detail Brickmania puts into each set. So thank you for that encouraging comment. And this is a good time to mention, if you're a fan of whether it's Brickmania or just kind of a fan of anyone creating content or doing stuff in the Lego community, now is definitely a good time to let them know that and send an encouraging word, because with everything going on in the world, there's still a lot of people working hard to, whether it's creating kits like Brickmania does, just putting content out online, whatever it might be. So recently, I was thinking about this the other day because I've gotten a couple of really nice encouraging messages recently from people saying, they appreciate us still doing live streams and putting content out while people are at home with quarantine. So if you're a fan of the work people are doing, now is definitely a good time to let them know that, send them an email, whatever, leave a YouTube comment, whatever it might be, because that definitely means a lot to people like the Brickmania designers working on kits, whatever it might be. They definitely appreciate knowing people are enjoying their kits and enjoying the builds out there.
Right, and there's a lot of really good content being created right now. These live streams are a good example. The brick world, virtual brick world, that people are being finding creative ways of being together, sharing their hobbies, and what else are you going to do when you're at home? This is the time to start something. So the world isn't going to get back to the old normal anytime soon. So we might as well enjoy what we have and make the most of it.
That's exactly right. Brown Brick Film says Brickmania rocks. So there we go. Shout out to everyone doing the hard work there. So how many people do you have working there at the headquarters now, Dan, in all the different positions?
I think somewhere right now we're close to 25. Our full strength would be about 30 to 32 in the building. There's still a few people working at home. We have certain machines like the printers can't be run by more than one person at a time. So we're working in shifts. We have a night shift. We're basically running 3 shifts right now for our print rooms. So at any given point, I think maximum it's during the day. Sometimes we're gonna have 25. And Josh, you've seen our building. It's a huge building.
Right.
And since you've been here, we've gotten even more space. So we are spread out throughout this huge building. So there's days that I don't see. There might be 20 people working here, but I will see like 3, just because I'll leave in a different entrance and exit of the building. And just to be safe, there's no reason for me to go mingle with other people and check on them. We can, if we need to check in with each other, we're all just like a Slack message or a text message or a phone call away from each other. So, we don't necessarily need to all be hanging out or congregating in one area. In fact, we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, it's
go ahead.
Kind of a slick how you can see in that picture there. There's a bunch of stanchions and chains. There's a bit of a labyrinth in the headquarters right now of one-ways that kind of ensure that we're not bumping into anybody around doors, around corners and stuff. And I think it's been working pretty well. We have doors that only open one direction, and like our key fob can open it. You just push it open with your elbow or with your foot. So we're not touching any door handles like all day. So I think the integration went pretty seamlessly. And Dan did a really good job, to his credit, during those days where he was all by himself getting this all set up for everybody to get back to work. So props to him.
It wasn't like I was trying to encourage people to come back. People were like begging to come back. Like, I want to come back to work. Well, let me make it safe for you to come back to work. So I slowly went through room by room, moving people around, because there were, and then having to like consciously think, well, if I have this person here, are they going to block somebody else from getting into where they need to get to? So it's sort of like this last week was kind of like the floodgates were open, because the governor actually gave us permission for businesses that were non-public, so manufacturing and offices that were not open to the public could have limited amount of people come back. So I couldn't, at that point, I couldn't keep telling everybody, no, you can't come back, but I had to figure out a way to get them to come back and have it safe.
Speaking of which, when the governor kind of released that and businesses started to open back up, Dan, you just started the media junket, and it just went on and on. So I've been seeing your posts about it. John was sharing that photo. I think the photo that we were looking at earlier was from one of those interviews.
Yeah.
So, well, what has that been like for you? Because I think I saw somewhere you said it was like 4 different TV stations or something stopped in over the last week or something.
Yeah. So I don't remember how it started, but one TV channel, local channel, wanted to do a story about reopening, and they jumped on it right away. And then all the other channels must have seen that, like, hey, they're talking to the media, let's go do it. It's a story. So, we through various events and stuff over the years, we've been on almost every local news media in town. So they kind of know who Brickmania is, but like just the governor reopening, and then doing that first TV interview led to radio interviews, and then more TV. And, I was on MSNBC, the national, and then the NPR. I mean, we started out with Minnesota Public Radio, then National Public Radio. So it just kind of snowballed from there. So like there was a 5-day period, or 3-day period that I was on like 6 or 7 different news programs.
And I will say, if you have a chance to check out any of those, just some absolutely next level Lego puns. I mean, they're just making the situation safe so Brickmania employees can get back to hitting the bricks. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like, it is the puns they come up with. Rebuilding history brick by brick. It's just, holy smokes! It's a 2-minute gem of just Lego puns. So we should check that out.
Is gem the right word?
Something.
That's worth the interview alone. Forget whatever Dan said.
Right.
I think John is sharing one of the stations here, so you can see some of the shots in the headquarters. Your beautifully wrapped van there.
That last channel, the one that you guys are showing, is Fox 9. They had been here like a couple of months ago and did a feature on us. And the camera guy is like one of these like Lego, super hardcore Lego fans waiting for an excuse. So he did a whole stop motion intro. It was like me and Roy. So basically, we did a feature on local Lego builders. So I was just part of a feature, but he did the camera guy did all these stop motions with the reporter. So spent like way more time making the they obviously filmed and interviewed us for the whole whatever news program they were doing. But the camera guy must have spent a whole entire week doing little stop motion animations where the reporter there's a Lego reporter talking to a Lego Dan, and it was pretty funny. So it was like the closet Lego nerd waiting to come out, and he was just waiting for that excuse. So again, that's also where you get all these puns from. So everybody wants the excuse to do a show on Lego because they get to play.
Right. So even with you making military kits, is there still a pretty positive response from kind of local news when you get stories like this, even though it's Lego military kits?
Absolutely. I mean, it's still Lego. A lot of people come in here not even understanding what we do. They just know we do Lego. So then we have to explain to them what exactly we're doing, the historic background part of it. And they may have known us because we've done some like iconic build that has nothing to do with military, like the First Avenue, which is the local nightclub. That's featured in our local museum here, and people wanted to interview us because of that, and they had no idea that we had this whole our own product line.
Right. So yeah, they see some local stuff you guys do, and then they want to check out more, basically.
Yeah. And then we had the open houses with the train club. So there's a whole different aspect of what we do that's nothing to do with Brickmania product line. It's just that we provide the space to do it.
We can just get like the director's cut here, where Dan provides commentary over TV interviews.
I haven't even seen all this footage. I mean, there's no television in our space, so somebody alerts. I have to wait till it gets put on YouTube, or if I go home and happen to be eating dinner, and something comes on. So that's one thing that I was fully planning on being quarantined in the warehouse. I brought my sleeping bag. I had 2 weeks worth of food in the refrigerator. I was all set to go. And then it turns out that they weren't really enforcing the quarantine. It was all a voluntary thing. So I was able to walk home every day and then walk here in the morning. So I'd go home late at night, come back in the morning. And it's just bizarre being the only person out on the streets. The first time I saw like a car drive down the street on my way home, I was like, should I run? It was just like, there's zombies out here. There's just nobody around. It was really bizarre.
And Lando, are you trying to like walk back and forth behind him in interviews and show up every once in a while?
I guess for a lot of those, I was just back at my desk or prior to me even getting to work. So I think you had like an interview at like 3 a.m. or something, didn't you?
Yeah, we did something for overseas. I had to be here.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done weird things like that. I had to come in the middle of the night. Some of the you get some reporters like, hey, I've got to do the story tomorrow morning. Can we do they'll call me at like 10 or 11 at night and say, can we do it right now? Like, sure, why not? So I have to go, like find some place to do it in the warehouse that's, like it's that I can drag the computer without losing internet connection or something. So
I think the local media is probably having a difficult enough time to try and wrap their head around like custom military Lego. And now it's like custom military Lego minifigure. That's probably a whole nother level that most people hadn't even considered as possible. So
yeah, one of the guys came through here. He picks up the modern Marine rifleman and he goes, "Oh my goodness, isn't that cute?" And I just looked at him and I was like, "Come on, man, are you kidding me? That's a highly trained instrument of war."
You got to respect Lando's work.
Exactly.
There's a question in the chat. This goes back to future products and requests. So wondering about more modern German military kits in particular, and also British. So a couple of people have been mentioning that, and when we'll see more of that.
Well, I think what's preventing us from making a lot more German stuff is we need a German battle rifle. So if anybody knows this guy named Will Chapman and has some sort of pull with he has this company called Brick Arms that makes weapons. And we've been waiting for a German modern battle rifle for a long time. Once that happens, the floodgates will be opened up and we will have the entire Bundeswehr ready for you guys to play with. Until we get shut down by the threat of never being able to come back to Germany again.
Yes, you do always have to be wary of the lawyers, and as you mentioned earlier, the more people you get involved, especially modern stuff still being made.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what can a German lawyer do to us here? So I shouldn't even say that because
don't tempt them. That's my approach to lawyers.
Yeah, got friends. So no, I think there will be more stuff. We want to do stuff, and basically there's a lot of ideas being thrown out there, and there's only so many sort of release weeks in the year. So when we did that whole main battle, the modern main battle tank theme, we were trying to like cover a lot of bases there. So we got the Leopard in there, but that was about it we could do for German stuff. But if we do another series of similar products, like say, hey, we're going to do wheeled vehicles from around the world, there will be more in there. Until we can have like a German outlet, there's just not going to be enough worldwide response for it. That would, we can sell them from Minnesota all the way into Europe. So, I guess we're waiting for bigger European presence. if I could get my summer house in northern Italy, and I'll make all the German vehicles that you guys want. I'll spend my afternoons drinking wine and putting the wrong number of parts in each kit. It'll be great.
The Brickmania employee bonus will be visiting Dan at his summer house in Italy.
And nobody will have to wonder why there's the wrong amount of parts in every kit. So it'll drive the Germans crazy.
I like it. So many possibilities there. Now, I know there's been a lot of conventions keep getting canceled, so we'll see if there's really much that happens this year at all. But do you guys have any conventions planned for Brickmania visits this year at all, or at this point has it been pretty much written off for you guys?
Well, there's still some on the books. I mean, we're hoping people will come to their senses and postpone. I don't see that this what we're in now is going to end anytime soon, and I don't. A 10,000 person gathering doesn't seem to make much sense right now. That being said, we haven't broken any commitments. So if we said we're going to go somewhere, we're going to go somewhere. We might be wearing spacesuits, but we'll be there. So I think right now it's Nebraska Brick Days, I think, is our next official event. I'm not sure, they have sort of an ambitious schedule for when they want to have it. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I don't mean to be a party pooper, but it just seems to be that, there's so much uncertainty right now that it to say that we're going to be there for sure and that event's going to be happening, it's kind of beyond my control. The idea was that we would have the Macon Island done and we were going to get it finished and then make, hey, we're going to go to this event, and that. We're going to bring this super cool new display. But now that's all kind of out the window. So we'll still do it, but the timeline is just going to be pushed back. And it's just, we have to wait and see. So we'll still keep building. We'll still keep putting out sets and keep doing what we do. And as soon as we're, we feel it's safe, we're going to hit the road again. I still have van payments to make.
Yeah, but that's what you want to hear. You're keeping everyone safe, whether it's Brickmania employees or people at conventions, whatever it might be. So you're always taking that into account. As much as everyone would like to see you guys out and meet you at conventions or whatever it might be, you don't want to do it until it makes sense.
Yeah, and the city of Anaheim Tourist Bureau, they really, really want us to come back. So break on the West Coast, yeah, it's probable. We may wait till we have a new store open and have it around the store, but still, people want us to come and we want to go. It just has to make sense.
I've got my World War Brick T-shirt on today. There you go. Yeah, representing. So I still enjoyed that show. That show, it's incredible how popular the videos. We only were able to make it to one of your World War Brick events before you guys kind of took the break from them. But I think every single video from that show has over 100,000 views on the channel, some with much more than that. So it's just incredible how much people love the mocks that come to those conventions.
Part of the difficulty of doing World War Brick is that we're too big for most of the hotel ballrooms. So, we can fill a 10,000 square foot hotel ballroom, but we can't do 100,000 square foot convention centers. So it's a little difficult for us to say, hey, we're going to do World War Bricks all over the place. We can't fit in most places, and we're not big enough for the others. So somebody has to put out have a venue that's sort of in between that people can get to and makes sense location wise and financially. So we'll do more.
That's why you were saying earlier, it works well just to do it in the headquarters there because you've got that space and you can adapt it for whatever you need, basically.
Yep, and then if we need to rent more spaces, we can go elsewhere. We can expand the locations. But and the coolest part is we control. We're already paying the rent here. We might as well do it in our own space. So.
For sure. We have another question in chat here from Maddock. He's wondering if you guys at Brickmania take summer interns. So do you have kind of a formal program set up for that, or if somebody reaches out and wants to get some practice designing kits or any other department there at Brickmania? Is that something you do?
We've had a couple interns over the years. So either in part of school, some schools have requirements for graduation for internships. or just people wanting to do it because they're interested. We've done both. Right now, we're not doing it. We had some interns lined up for this year, and we've sadly had to say, hey, we're going to have to postpone this or can't do it. So yeah, it is something we've done in the past. And again, once we feel it's safe and you know, if you're gonna get like side-by-side guidance from some of our builders and some of our designers, you're going to need to be able to sit next to them safely. And right now we're still like 6 feet apart. We're wearing masks. It's not exactly an easy workflow right now. So in the future though, yeah, we'll take them.
Yeah. So if you're interested, reach out, because it's certainly a good place to get some training if you're interested in doing the type of work. Because you guys do some of everything. You've got like graphics, you've got the kit design. So there's a lot of different areas that someone could work in and learn from the really talented people there.
Right. Some of the printing processes we do. There's a lot of things. I mean, the thing about Brickmania is we do everything but make the bricks, and even we do make our own 3D printed parts, but that's like less than 1% of our total, output. But so we do all of our own packaging. We do, stickers, fabric stuff. We do all kinds of, construction stuff. We even do our own maintenance on things around the warehouse. So there's a lot of things going on, and we don't go to work and have somebody do it for us. We go to work to make all the things that we work on. When we want to have hey, we're going to set up a process, we actually do it ourselves. We don't hire an outside firm to come in and do it, or we just don't show up someplace where it's already thought out. We actually have to think these things through ourselves. So everything from administrative stuff to the finished product going out the door is purely a Brickmania creation, other than the Lego bricks. The Lego is just Lego for fans of the company. Fans of what the company produces.
Yeah, it is pretty surprising the amount of times that I'll come into work and see Dan up on like a giant ladder or something, moving boxes around and changing light bulbs. So he's not lying when he says he does a little bit of everything.
he's leading by example. That's good,
Everybody pitches in. So yesterday we actually blocked off half of the GHQ store to make room for the marketing department to come back into the building. So I did all that while nobody was looking. I put up a wall in the back and moved all the display cases. And with the help of Dylan and Drew, we actually brought internet from the main network of the rest of Brickmania into the GHQ, which had its own completely separate internet network. But we did that, we're up on ladders, running cables across the ceiling. And then these guys had to figure out how to make the Ethernet cables, put crimping them together. So, we're learning something new every day. So, there's a YouTube video out there on how to do just about anything, right?
Yeah, it still didn't go well. For someone who works with YouTube and then tried to keep watching the video, it's still a trial and error process trying to get those set up.
But we did get it working, right?
We got it working. Well, I'm here.
So this is our handiwork. This is part of the brick. This is what we do at Brickmania. We keep trying and failing until we stop failing. We fail.
I really like the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, Dylan, I like those studio lights you got going on behind you.
I know. Down to GHQ. What can I say? I've got the best lighting.
But it's not on you. It's on your back.
I know. It's the backlit. Literally as worse as it could possibly be.
Right. Yeah. So next time, stand up at the bar.
What the problem was? Is I jumped into the chat and I didn't even check my camera. I just hit the thing. Before I knew it, I was live, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, I can't really pick up my laptop and go run over somewhere." Find better lighting. So it was what it was.
All right, we're doing it live.
Exactly.
I have the most boring background. I have a door behind me, so I was trying to set up in our conference room where our the classic Brickmania set in front of the library, and I couldn't get the internet to work in there. So there's about 1,000 pounds of books between me and the wall where the internet plugs in, and I have to move in order to figure out why it's not working. So it was easier just to move back into my office. So next time I will be in that other room. I'll just run a cord from my office all the way.
There you go. Technology, always trying to figure things out. We've certainly adapted a lot doing these live streams here. Brian has been a big help in helping us figure out how the best way to set up the live streams and everything. So yeah, it's people trying new types of content and streams and everything. You just gotta figure out what works best, especially internet stuff. Yeah, that all gets complicated and getting everything wired in properly.
Right. It's live too, so that makes any screw up, everybody's going to see it in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had tried to do that. We were going to do a live stream with me coordinating it from the headquarters, and after like realizing how much work it was, we kind of went there for like 5 minutes and said, okay, that's something we're going to shelve until we're ready. So
Instagram and YouTube, that's where you can find us doing our live stuff probably the most. And usually it just happens when there's something relevant that we want to talk about right now. So we're like, you know what? Instead of doing a video, let's just do it live.
Yeah.
When you guys go live with something, do you use a platform like StreamYard like we're using, or is it just straight? Do you just go live from Instagram and from YouTube?
Everybody grab your phones and let's go live across the board.
The first time we did it, we were all different locations. So I was hosting it on my Instagram, and then, maybe it was Lando was doing it. Lando was doing it from home, and then I was like, and then I got like, because I have so many connections on Instagram, it invited me. The app invited me to join in, so we did our joint first live YouTube thing together, or Instagram thing, by accident. We didn't even first time we'd ever tried it. And then we did it again on YouTube. We were going to do like a multi-screen thing, like really ambitious. And it turned out to be a lot more difficult and a lot of wires all over my office from various places to get all the different internet connections and the cameras. And I was like, okay, this is just too much for me to figure out. I'm not a technical person that way. I mean, I could figure it out, but it was just like, we have people that are smarter and better at this than I am. We'll wait till they can get back in here and start working on this stuff.
Instagram is interesting. We actually have done very little to no live streaming on Instagram. We stick, so like with all these streams we do, we use StreamYard to go to Facebook and YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's the primary platforms. So how have you found like Instagram live streams work? Is there many restrictions on that in terms of time, or you can pretty much just do whatever you want there?
Well, I think if there's a time restriction, Landon just about found it the first time he decided to stream.
Yeah, there was. I don't remember the exact time, but I thought it gave me a notification it was ending. Actually, what I found to be more of a pain in the butt was my battery kept dying on me. So that's. I was just using my cell phone, really informal, more to test out the system than anything. I do kind of like Instagram just for how informal it is, kind of conversational almost. You're really just hanging out with people. So it's kind of the opposite side of that whole live streaming. So I mean, this is awesome that we can be nice and polished like this, and it's really cool seeing you can bring up clips and everything. So it's just a different way of doing it, I guess.
Yeah, we have a program that'll allow us go from like say Skype or any Zoom. We could go live through YouTube. There's some intermediary apps that you can use. It's just that we haven't been able to like dedicate the people. It's like, like if we had our own John in the background coordinating all that stuff, it would be great.
Everyone does need a John.
So how much does it cost to get John to jump ship over to the Brickmania?
Oh no!
If you're listening, John.
It's a hostile takeover of the producer.
We don't do anything hostile. There's usually a lot of beer involved and sometimes some money.
Yes, we do need John keeping things going in the background because everyone knows I can't handle it.
Well, I feel the same way. That's why I hire smarter people than me.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. Brian, you don't have your producer John yet, do you?
No, and I'm drowning. I need someone here. To keep my head above water with the chat and playing games, and oh man, yeah. It's a lot harder than a lot of people might think. Like you gotta make sure you keep tabs on everyone. Make sure you're, answering questions and being positive and running a good show. Live streaming is so different from video because video, you mess up, you just edit that out. Live, you want to make sure it's perfect the first time as much as you can. And if it's not, so it's totally different.
So do you actually play video games or other?
Yes.
Live.
So that is my whole shtick. So I'll play video games while I'm interacting with the chat and on Beyond the Brick and on my own channel. The chat is very, very, very talkative, and they love to ask, Brian, what's your favorite Lego set? What's your favorite color? Where are you from? What's your favorite thing to eat? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm doing all that while playing a video game and trying to be relatively entertaining. So I'm juggling 3 things, and it's tough.
Do you feel like they're asking those questions just to throw you off?
You can, I feel like that's what most people do anyways. They're like, we're just going to mess with them. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, but it's a totally different thing from video. Like, I wish I had an entire backstage of people helping me, but no, I only have mice behind me instead of people. It's great.
Yeah.
So.
It does amaze me. So we've had Brian streaming the Lego games, like Star Wars. He does Harry Potter now, and I think he'll do other ones in the future. So people, make sure to check those out if you haven't seen them. But watching Brian like respond to chat while playing a game, I don't know how he does it. There's no way I could handle that.
I need a vacation is what I need. So next time there's a show and we can all go on a, nice big house somewhere on a beach, go to Tahiti. I don't know, something. We got to figure something out.
Do you pick your spots in the video games when you can engage with people a little bit more?
No,
in the Lego games? No? I'm
looking at here and I'm like, I have my eye right here. And if I recognize somebody that, is from my streams or someone I know, I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 and carry a conversation. So it's constant. Like, my mind is in 3 different places at one time. So like when I'm live and one thing doesn't go right, I just like the cog in the machine just doesn't work right. And it all collapses. So like, if you have the more people you have to do something live, the better it is. So like this, it's a walk in the park, like I'm like totally fine. I'm sure everyone here is totally comfortable and fine, but the more you have it just being a one person situation, and the bigger the audience and the more in depth the questions, the crazier it can get. So we've had people in the chat here asking, can you make this thing and that thing? When's this coming out? That coming out? Like if it's just one of you doing something, then yeah, it's overwhelming.
This is a good time to mention, you can check out Brian's streams, both on his Twitch channel. Just check out Bricks O'Brien, and also on Beyond the Break. So lots of great content over there that Brian's working on. So Dan, have you guys ever considered doing like a Brickmania gaming Twitch or maybe YouTube, wherever it might be, where you play World of Tanks or something like that?
Well, you have to be good at video games first. I'm not that person. I swore off video games a long time ago. I spent too much time playing years ago, and then I said, okay, I'm never again. And I haven't. It's been probably 17, 18 years since I've
oh my goodness
actually sat down with a game and said, I'm going to play this video game. And it was like Diablo 2 or something like.
That's a good one to leave off on, though. That's good.
So like that was that. I mean, I think I like played it for like an hour. Like, okay, I could see myself losing because I played Diablo 1 until I completed it, and then Diablo 2 was like, oh, this is the same thing but better and going to be take longer to do. So I swore it off back then, and some of my friends, probably there's other people that work at Brickmania that would be much more entertaining to watch play video games than myself.
Well, so
there's no one at Brickmania who's interested in playing video games.
I think all these guys are.
I was going to say, what's the likelihood of a gaming inspired kit or something? But since you don't play video games, like, well, that the likelihood tanks a little bit there. But
well, we had our own. Actually, we did have a World of Tanks team at one point. So our what is it? A clan, I think, in World of Tanks they have. So we did have a Brickmania clan for a while. And it's just none of us had time to check in on it. So we were like, okay, this is kind of pointless since we're not actually the Brickmania team doesn't even have any Brickmania people playing on it. So that was something that we wanted to do. We were talking about doing like live builds. We're going to build one of our kits. We're going to build, live building on the Macon Island. Unfortunately, live building on the Macon Island would be like, I'm just going to build this row and it's going to take me an hour, and you're going to be completely bored to death. Because by the time that we've done our 5-hour live stream, we've built an inch on this, 15-foot section. It's just it's not exciting. So it would be more exciting interacting with the customers and fans and just, everybody else out there in the world. So we've done a few things like that. And it's just like, we'll just sit out by the model and flip on a live stream and just answer questions. It can be overwhelming. And usually by the time we're done, I've lost my voice.
Yep.
There used to be Brickmania Minecraft server, but we don't do that anymore. It's just that was a time sink.
Yep.
That was way back in the day when I guess when Minecraft kind of more first came out. That's when a few of us were playing, but I just don't have enough time for it. Yeah.
We have an Xbox. Is it Xbox or is it PS? I don't even remember. We have some Xbox in the GHQ store.
Yep.
I think the only time it's actually been played was during our holiday party 2 years ago. So it has one game loaded on it, and it's
Battlefield 5. I've snuck a couple of rounds now that I'm stationed down in the GHQ.
Oh.
It's a 16-inch TV like 10 feet away. So
yeah, it's like a 5K TV or something.
yeah, right. I'm going to work on some
That's a
product description.
giant TV, man. It's a huge TV.
The TV's bigger than my bed.
Somebody might want to be checking up on Dylan every once in a while.
Come on, Josh, help me out.
Live streaming, it's for work.
It's for work.
Right. That's what I say too. It works out.
I think people should be using it. I mean, we got it for a reason. We're so busy. We're so focused. It's the damn project list. It's watching us all the time. So it knows when we don't get our projects done because somebody, maybe the project list knows now that it turns our boxes red that it has our due dates on it.
Not the red box.
No, the red box of death.
Red box.
When everyone else is stressing out about deadlines and whatnot, and then all of a sudden, they find out that Dylan's down in the HQ streaming and playing Battlefield 5. That's a good way to get everyone else in Brickmania a little peeved at you.
See, that's why you got to just make it part of your job. If you're streaming it for Brickmania, then no one can complain.
Well, we did take away the chairs in front of the TV though. I didn't want because we can't have people sitting around in the store anymore. So like, I'll just move the couches so nobody can sit around. And now it's you can stand in front of the TV and game if you wanted to. So,
Fun fact. Producer John's favorite video game to play is Battlefield 5, and he so you could get a little Beyond the Brickmania crossover there, do a little Battlefield 5 streaming.
We'll talk the Last Tiger all day. I'm down with that.
So I played it once and I died in the same spot. Like the first German shot me in the head, and then I got up, he shot me in the head again and again, and it's not like this isn't for me.
Well, like you said, you haven't played video games in a long time, so it takes some getting used to,
Yeah. Well, in the video games I played, it used to be like, you have to take over the world. So they're like, it's not going to be like 5 minutes and play. It's going to be like you're investing your time in this game. So.
Yeah, and what's so frustrating is that if you're not continually playing, you're just not very good. So like I used to play like Halo 2 or something, and I was okay, but now like occasionally Cody and I we played some Modern Warfare, the remastered one, and it's just like I'll get like 2 kills, and I'm like, what just happened? I'll have to like camp the entire match to get any more than that.
They start young. So by the time you hit like 24, 25 years old, like competitively, you are old and close to retirement. So they start at like 13 years old, and it's a whole thing.
The first time I ever realized that was a serious thing, and not only that, but something you could really make money off of, is when we were checking in for, I think it was like a 5-year high school reunion or whatever, something like that. And we found out that one of our classmates had just signed a $250,000 contract with the Denver Nuggets to play 2K.
Yep.
And I was like, what? He signed a contract with a pro sports team to play a video game?
Yep.
That's the coolest career I can imagine. So, well, other than this one.
Well, I'll take any of those 13-year-olds on in Galaga. I can make a quarter last about 4 hours in Galaga.
Dan's like ready to throw down.
Dan, aren't you? You're a pinball wizard, aren't you, Dan?
No,
you were telling me about that Lord of the Rings pinball game.
My game.
He's good at pinball. He's being shy about it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take it.
Minneapolis probably has some of those cool like arcade places, those like half bar, half arcade. I feel like that's there's probably some of those in Minneapolis somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right now.
If they survive this, we'll see. There's a couple famous ones downtown, but fortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know. I spend all my time playing with Lego, so I don't have, they can bring beer to my Lego. I don't need to go to a bar and intermingle with pinball players.
You cut out the middleman.
We haven't had any beer in our bar since the fall. So just about the time we're like, oh, we could probably bring some beer in the bar. Then we had to send all the employees home. I should just
be a revolt soon. You got to figure that out.
No more happy hour at Brickmania for a while.
Well, shout out to Constable Dickey for his $5 super chat in the stream as well. Thank you for that. That'll go into Brian's lunch fund.
Thank you for that, Kevin.
We always appreciate the support anyone has during the live stream. We hope you've been enjoying Brickmania and all of their insights. Feel free to leave any questions for them in the chat. We will answer them as best as we can. We're almost 2.5 hours in here, so I appreciate you guys sticking it out with us. We'll probably go for about another half an hour more if you've got time here. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys inviting us. So
Yes.
I'm game to hold out till the end. My bladder can take it, I think.
This is the entire live stream. How long are you guys going for again?
We go for about 3 hours every time. That's our goal. We feel like we can go pretty reasonably for that long. We go much longer than that, and Brian needs his cannolis and starts getting hungry.
Well, stock up on the Chipotle.
Yeah. If you prefer to have some time without us, we'd understand.
No, it's all good.
Live streaming eating a Chipotle burrito. Is that what's going on?
Oh, listen. People will watch anything. Trust me, they'll watch anything. If I've been saying in my live stream, like, what if I just take a nap on stream? They're like, oh, we'll watch it. I was playing Fortnite yesterday, and I was like, I need to get a can of compressed air for my computer. I'm gonna run to Walgreens real quick. You guys mind if I just leave? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I just left it. And you know what? The viewership did not go down. Still was fine. I was totally not on screen. I had this video of birds playing. Like, birds come in, grab seeds, they fly off, squirrels show up, and then, that's it.
Well, this is beyond the brick, right?
Yeah. Hey, anything's possible.
Anything beyond.
Above and beyond.
Yeah, it's like Bed Bath & Beyond, but with bricks, and
Right.
Brian is the beyond.
That's why they brought me on, right? That's it.
Exactly. Katie says they watch Brian eat pizza, ice cream, cry, and dance. So apparently, you're in for the full experience.
Twitch.tv/BricksO'Brien. You get all the spicy action over there. You want to see a grown man cry while having plushies in his background? Go for it. Totally go for it.
I'm not sure if this is giving Brickmania any ideas for their gaming streams or not, but
It's not my department.
Dylan can start workshopping that.
Heck yeah, I will definitely take that over.
Dylan will gladly eat pizza and weep openly on camera.
Yes, right. I'll bare my soul, and then right in the middle of it, I'll be like, hold on, I got to go to Walmart.
Did you bring the camera with you to Walmart, or no, you left it on?
Yeah, no, I left mine on because I was like, well, I don't want to. Well, this is a DSLR here, but you can go live right from your phone on Twitch, and people do in real life streams, and it can get a little dicey because some people will find your location and try to find you, and it's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I don't do it. But yeah, live streaming culture and that whole thing is very different from YouTube and what you guys do, and it's a whole thing. So I just left my camera on and got the can of compressed air, and it worked, so it was good.
We've done a few things, but yeah, the not having somebody moderating your chat and it's playing live, that's an interesting.
Yep.
You don't want you can't do both at the same time. So
No, you definitely can't. We have some great moderators here on Beyond the Brick, people that we know and trust in real life and, won't abuse their power or anything like that. So it's a good team. So, and I've been keeping my eye on the chat as things have been going on just to make sure, keep the kids in line. So we've been, everyone's been behaving. So it's been a good stream so far today, at least.
we thought we would bring that sort of negative element, right?
Yeah, right.
And if Dan and you guys, if you're looking for live streaming content, Kevin said that Brian live streamed the construction of a new desk chair, and it was some of his best work. So anything's game when you're live streaming.
Live stream Dan falling off a ladder.
Yeah, it's like, here's Dan changing the light bulbs in the office.
Yeah, maybe I'll just start firing up the live stream when I come into work and just be like, all right, we're getting out of the truck now. We're walking in, and let's see what waits for us here at the HQ.
Yeah, I mean, people love that behind the scenes stuff. So maybe not in that exact form, but like, any insight or something that,
Lennon, were you in the room where I was changing the light bulb out in the big warehouse and the crane started moving?
So he had this ladder, this giant, 2+ story ladder propped up against this crane. You can kind of see the overhead cranes in this room. This is like the low room. There's like a way bigger room. So he has his ladder propped up against this moving crane part, and he's like climbing up. He's about halfway up the ladder, and it starts moving slowly. So he has to scramble down as fast as he could before it just smacks his face.
Well, usually we have the ladder or the crane will be locked in place. And for whatever reason, this time it wasn't locked in place, and it started rolling away out from the ladder, was leaning against it, and I just started going down with it, trying to get down the ladder as fast as I could before the ladder ran out of room at the end of the crane, and it would have just toppled over on top of all the cubicles and probably hurt somebody really bad.
And there was like 10 people kind of like standing in a semicircle around, like not able to do anything.
Fear, like, we're watching Dan fall off the ladder until somebody finally grabbed the chain and locked the crane at the last possible second.
Let's hope no one from health and safety is watching the stream.
Yeah, I might get fired from my own company. That's why I do all the dangerous stuff. So. If I fall off a ladder, it's my own fault.
You just throw yourself into it and see what happens.
That's right. I was standing on top of a shelf about 8 feet above the floor yesterday, strapping or attaching cable to the ceiling. And I was asking the guys in the customer service, like, any of these shelves ever fallen over? Because I noticed none of them are bolted together. But as I was standing on top of it, like, if I would have moved my feet the wrong way, I would have probably fallen right through it. So,
wow,
oh, man,
yeah. I think somebody needs to step in and make sure Dan is safe there.
Usually, I'm the guy with like a screwdriver, like tightening up everything. But this apparently had got put together when I wasn't looking. So.
I think there's a saying in the office that only awesome survives. So maybe that's what this is talking about.
I'm gonna say, who's the safety captain around there? Someone you can look to for reassurance. But
that's me.
Still looking around, nobody.
I think there's a brick pun here about stepping on a Lego brick.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in there somewhere. I don't know.
I was just reading the Institute of Safety, whatever, the ASTM or whatever, and they have like certain jobs that you have to, your toys or your whatever your product has to conform to the international safety standards. But there are certain things that you can't make safe. A sewing needle is always going to be sharp. A ladder is always going to have the potential to fall over. So like you do take some inherent risk just getting involved in any sort of activity. So no matter how much safety is involved, you stop on a motorcycle, don't put your feet down, you're going to fall over. It's like common sense stuff. Needles are sharp, so don't eat magnets. It's certain safety things that are common sense, but people do them anyway.
Very true. Kevin said that the safety captain is on the falling ladder. That's the issue.
Don't try this at home.
But it is a cool space you guys have there, so it's nice that you can use that space and the history you have of it there, and so it might make maintaining things a little more difficult, but there's a neat space that you have.
Well, I was asking one of the building managers like the other day, hey, can I get out the roof? And he's like, oh, what do you want on the roof? So one of our air conditioning units had stopped. It just like stopped working, and then like, oh, it's been stopped for a couple of weeks, and people are starting to come back in the warehouse. I better get this thing running again. And they just had to turn it off and on again. I don't know what happened, but they wouldn't let me out on the roof for some reason.
It's funny how that is. Like you on the roof unsupervised potentially.
Yeah. I could have just brought my ladder around outside. So
this is actually pretty interesting building. The history, Dan, you hinted at that earlier, but like naval guns prior to World War II were made here. My desk is actually above the quenching pits, so I imagine there's a secret button that Dan has under his desk that it'll open up one day and I'll just fall through.
Did you ever see it, Landon? Before
I didn't know.
Yeah. So there. Yeah. I mean, the room that Landon's in. That's the original Brickmania office that we had to build out, and the floor is not level. It used to be a courtyard. So it used to be like outside, and it went down to a drain at the bottom end of the room, and they walled it off and then put all I'm sure it was furnaces or some sort of like big heavy equipment in there, and the overhead cranes were used to move ginormous pieces of metal around with. So the floor has piles of metal that has hardened and been dumped in the corners. I think maybe the roof was leaking or something, so they're patching holes with molten metal. So the floor is magnetic, and there's this giant trench with drains in it that they can fill with water or oil or whatever, so they can cure and harden naval guns. They're big, long trenches, basically. So that's an interesting part of the building that we're in. It has a huge history. The room that I'm in right now, I'm in this sort of like office that was built between buildings. So during World War II, General Mills bought the buildings and connected them all together. So my office is kind of a late addition. So there's some pictures of our buildings from before World War II, and I'm sitting right now where a tree used to be. So I'm in the new part of the building, but most of the building was built prior to World War II. So like in the 1920s and 1930s. So
I've always loved that the building has that history because it fits so well with what you guys do. So it's just a perfect combination.
Yeah. So and we're trying to bring some of that stuff back, and I keep looking for cheap military artifacts to bring into GHQ just to make the store look cooler. So yeah, look at this. This is a Kiowa helmet.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, this is from an actual user. One of our Derek, he's chief of our marketing. This was his father's helmet from when he was in the Army. So yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's like Dan said, it's Derek's father's, and he flew that helicopter. So it's pretty awesome. Or I don't know if did he fly it or was he just worked on it? I don't remember.
He's not here.
So he did something.
What was the print on the back there? You showed it briefly, but it was hard to see.
It's a helicopter, so it's the Kiowa, so it's a Bell Jet Ranger.
There's nothing cooler than like just like this infield artwork, like awesome stuff. Just nuts. These like young guys out in the field painting up some crazy Cobra helicopter. Like that's nuts. Some sweet lightning bolts. Like pretty cool.
Can you imagine just the in-branch competition that breeds of, especially like back in the day with the nose art and whatnot, and you just want to make your nose as best as possible, and then you're looking at the squadron next to you, and you're like, oh man, they actually have like a good artist over there. I'm so jealous.
We should add some lightning bolts and flames.
Where's our Cobra?
How come they've got checkers on theirs? We've got lightning bolts.
One group somehow ends up with the guy who goes on to be like a Disney animator and like doing all the professional artwork.
Well, in World War II, a lot of that nose art was actually, the squadron patches were done by Disney or other artists. So I know Warner Brothers contributed, and so did Disney. So like the Flying Tigers art, that's all done by Disney. So the Brickmania, the back of the shirts, those staff shirts, that's the Tank Destroyer logo, that was done by Oldsmobile artists. So it was all like everybody was in for the war effort. So
sure, everybody got involved there. Speaking of Brickmania shirts, I think I saw you guys just restocked some Brickmania merch, didn't you?
We did. I called one of our screen printers, like, how are you doing during the shutdown? He was saying that he was worried that he didn't have any work for next week. I'm like, well, let's just restock all the Brickmania shirts. We haven't. Like the last Brickmania shirt never even made it to the website. We sold them all through our stores. So it was a good time to, we've been supported really generously by our customers. And I was like, well, let's do something that, continue to kick it down to everybody that we work with. So we called up our screen printer. He was ecstatic for the work. And we're actually making some other shirts and stuff that aren't even available yet. So people always ask us where we get our Dickie shirts, because we have the staff shirts that are button-up, really fancy button-up shirts with embroidered Brickmania logos, and we have those coming. So sometime in the next week, we should have this sort of next level Brickmania attire that used to be previously only available to the staff will be available to customers too. So they'll be unique. They'll have a Brickmania logo on the front pocket and then a big white print on the back. It won't be the staff print, but it'll be the same shirt. So finally making those available. People have been asking for years for those shirts. It's just a good opportunity because our screen printer can use the work, and we're all kind of captive right now. We can't increase our production of kits, but we can certainly help get some of the other people that we work with, get them going, get them some business.
That's right. This is a cool time to pick yourself up a cool new t-shirt. You're sitting at home, you need something neat arriving in the mail. So go over to Brickmania's website. John was just showing some of the designs there.
Yep.
Lots of cool shirts to choose from.
And if you want a mask, a Brickmania mask, you can get a Brickmania hoodie and just pull it up, put it on back. So it's an impromptu mask. It'll work just fine. Or else you could take the full hoodie and just pull it really tight over, just a little bit of your.
That's what I do with my sweater right here. I just do this when I walk into Chipotle. I'm just like that. Hey, what's going on? Grab that.
Just point.
Yeah, right.
I should point out that the Brickmania hoodies are like the thickest possible hoodies we could find. I mean, they're not like insulated, but they are like the most heavy duty material. So both the zipper and the regular pullover hoodies, you are not going to find a higher quality blank shirt to print on. We went to the top shelf right away. So.
And I think just, shameless plug, I'm pretty sure all of those items are still buy 3, get the 4th free right now.
Oh,
so if you want to load up on a bunch of swag, we'll keep that deal running, I think, through to tomorrow. So take advantage of that. So
what it does, the shopping cart will automatically determine what's the cheapest and give you that one for free. So if you buy 4 of the most expensive thing, you will get the most expensive thing for free. But otherwise, it'll just automatically give you the cheapest one free. So.
That's great. You can get you and some of your friends together and get some Brickmania merch together, save some money.
Right. So it's a good time to stock up. And those T-shirts are also printed on heavyweight cotton. We've kind of had the pendulum swing. We've had some real ring spun lightweight cotton T-shirts. Now we're back to the heavyweight. So if you buy one of our shirts, it's guaranteed to last years and years and years.
That's what you want to hear. Good quality stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any other unique products that you've added recently? Maybe maybe not shirts, but other kind of merch type of things, or anything else that are cool things you want to tell people about?
Well, we did a bunch of stuff for the holidays. We did the patches, the bottle openers, shot glasses. We did some pint glasses and they failed. So the pint glasses never made it to the public. So there's a nice patch. Orlando's showing off his patch. Velcro. Yeah, that's right. The Velcro patches. So we just got a new toy, though. Remember, it just got dropped off this morning. It's a laser engraver. So we bought a new printer, and they're like, hey, if you buy for a few $1,000s extra, we'll throw in this laser engraver. So we bid it. We're dumb. We're suckers for it.
They're like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah. So a laser engraver, which we don't even know exactly what it'll do yet. We have a good idea because one of our employees has a small at home laser engraver. This is like the serious industrial one. So I'm sure we can engrave bricks. I'm sure we can sculpt things out of bricks. But there's probably going to be like cloth things we'll be able to do. We'll be able to obviously etch the Brickmania hip flasks and all kinds of other cool things that we'll be able to do. We'll be able to etch glass. We'll be able to etch metal. Carve into bricks. So we'll be able to do our own textured bricks, recessed textured bricks instead of texture printing on them. So it'll be kind of a fun new toy for us to play with. So
well, and then still talking about stuff that's actually available right now. If you head for the minifig gear category on our website, that's where you're going to find all of our 3D printed items, those custom created things like the HBT field cap, some helmets, the German side cap, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that really came to fruition right as we were getting into the quarantine thing. And so we just kind of did what we could to throw it all together and get it in one place. And now that we've organized our website a little better, now it's a lot easier to find all that stuff. And then even us, when we were putting it all together, we were like, holy smokes, we have a ton of products available right away, even just in a 2-week period. And it's not stopping either. We're going to continue to make more. So that is definitely an exciting category to regularly check out. Yeah,
the cool thing is those 3D printers, once quarantine happened, we had all 5 printers printing, and then a camera guy took one of the printers home and continued to print day after day, week after week, making new batches of all of our headgear, which previously had been kind of rare. So we've kind of had like a renaissance in the last month of these small, like these custom printed things that we previously only came out with certain minifigs and we've done in really small batches. So we've actually stepped up our game with the printing a lot. So, printing on parts. So we're taking standard brick arms things, printing, UV printing on them, or else just 3D printing our own items. So there's a lot more of that in the works, but you'll be seeing it soon.
That's super exciting. Yeah, just looking at these images on the website there, it's amazing. Like that knit cap, I think it stands out. The detail in there, it looks just like a real life knit cap with the lines in it and everything. So stuff like that you can achieve is really cool.
Well, we don't have any right now. I wish I had one. Maybe Landon has one at his desk, or maybe Dylan.
I have the
do you have
insert.
Do you have the D-Day guy?
So there's another variant that's just the insert of that Jeep cap.
Right.
I see it a lot during World War II. They'd wear that same exact cap underneath their M1 steel pot helmet. So that's just a nice little insert that works well with the Brick Arms helmet.
Do you have the D-Day figure?
Say that again?
You have the D-Day figure?
I don't have one at my desk, no.
So we actually licensed we were able to obtain a license from Brick Arms to make his M1 steel pot helmet, but we 3D printed it with a net around it. So it looks like the camouflage netting that you'd see common on the World War II helmets. And we actually just printed it right on there. So that's for a limited time. Right now there's a minifigure that we're selling as a D-Day commemorative. I think the first batch went up Friday. The first batch sold out Friday. So hopefully this week we'll have some more. But that's a licensed product that we're taking a standard Brick Arms and making it better, improving on it. And Will Chapman was really nice to let us do that. It's kind of a cool thing. So we're experimenting with doing our own take on Brick Arms weapons, and we have the blessing of the creator. So it's kind of, the Brick Arms creator, I should say. So it's been a neat time that we're able to do these sort of new branch out in different ways.
I have a prototype of that M1 steel pot helmet with our in-house designed netting. You can kind of just see it wraps around there really nicely.
Yeah.
Simulating that netting texture. So it's been like a lot of fun to watch this come together. This is the same crew that put this together that does all of our animations. And they've been doing some wonderful job. One, producing these really beautiful 3D models. And two, also, it's an art on its own to actually get something to print on a 3D printer without failing. If anybody's tried out 3D printing, it's really difficult. It's an art form, absolutely. So we got a solid crew putting this all together, and really a team effort to create some like one-of-a-kind, amazing, I guess, miniature sculptures. What these are ending up becoming. So it's been a lot of fun to see this come together. So.
We've seen so many of these great details, like Lando, especially what you can do with the minifigures there. And you guys have talked about 3D printing and engraving bricks and all that sort of stuff. Do you guys take someone's watching right now, maybe wants like a commissioned batch of custom minifigures of whatever it might be. Is that something you do, or do you pretty much just stick to making stuff for Brickmania products because there's so much to do for that?
Yeah, we did. I think these guys, I don't know if anybody recognized them. So that was a job that we did a while back. So that was the white stripes, worked with Third Man Records. So it does happen.
Yeah, we've done a couple projects, but we just don't even have the capacity. So people come to us and say, hey, we want to do this. Can you do it for us? And like, well, yes, we can, but we don't have the time, unfortunately. So there was a time that we would, not too long ago, that we would have taken on more sort of, we call outside jobs. And right now it's like we can't even make our own stuff, so that everything's off the table. We've just basically said we if it's not a Brickmania project, we're not doing it. Part of it is that we just have only so much capacity, and if we have like say 300 minifigures in our repertoire, but we can only keep 10 in stock at any given time because they're selling out as fast as we can make them, then our problem is we can't make stuff fast enough. So making stuff for somebody else is just not even part of the equation anymore. We just can't do it.
Sure. Yeah, you got to work with whatever capacity you have there. So
yeah.
that makes total sense.
And people are asking, hey, you're a friend. Can you do this at a friend price? I'm like, what do you mean? We can't even. We still have to pay everybody. When people come and ask us, hey, can you make us this or make us that? We're like, well, no, sorry. We'd love to do it. I mean, it's really hard to say no to friends. But we have, we have to keep in focus on what our product line is.
Right. You still have the realities of running a business, which always is takes precedent.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and it's not like anybody's ever ran a business like this before. It's not like you can point to the Apple of custom Lego companies and be like, oh, well, they did this and it worked out for them, so that'll be fine. So like, I mean, part of the reason why there's, bit of inconsistency and stuff like that with Brickmania is because we're completely trying to make this up as we go along. And not only are we worried about, making sure our fans get the coolest products as possible, but also we're making sure that the people who are a part of Brickmania at this level want to stay a part of it and work as hard as they can to keep creating these awesome things. Because the best thing Brickmania has going for it right now is employees who are so excited to come to work every day because they get to create and do all these cool things, and that's what drives these cool products. And we it's completely piggybacked off of these incredible Lego designers, and and it's trickled over into things that you see like the 3D printed elements. And if we can keep that going and not stop that, I mean, sky's the limit.
Right. Well, and even if you're not in like a design position, you're still in a part of a process where you get to help decide the fate and how things work out. So like, if you're part of the say the production team, you get to decide how the production team is going to work. And we've kind of organically created a system that seems to work well for us, and we're still tweaking it. We're trying to add more time in, because of the whole coronavirus, it complicates things. So we're constantly evolving, and it's a satisfying part of the job to go, hey, we rose to the challenge to whatever was thrown in front of us. We're getting our products done. We're getting them done on time. We're getting them done ahead of time, and we're successful. The error rates are going down, and it's the people that we have work here. They actually take some pride in what they're doing because they've seen all their hard work come to fruition in something really good and really positive. And it's becoming less and less stressful each time we improve and make a new way of doing things that works better.
For sure. I like Kevin Hinkle in the chat. As an artist, he says he's very familiar with the friend price. It's always a good time to remind people, just because you know someone that does something doesn't mean that you should expect them to do it for free or for very little money. So especially artists, I think, deal with that, but just in general.
Right. And because you're like, you're a mechanic and in real life doesn't mean you want to come home and work on everybody's cars. You repair shoes at work doesn't mean you're like the hookup for shoe repair. If you're friends with somebody, you shouldn't ask them to do something that they do for a living for cheap or free. I mean, you should respect what they do, and realize that person's an artist. What they're doing is something special. You should actually be happy to give them money to do what they're doing.
Speaking of which, Lando, can I get a friend price on a couple of those minifigs that we were talking about earlier? Is that cool?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm thinking like $1 or $2 a piece.
Easy. 50 cents. No. It's all free.
He'll just drop them off for you later.
Yeah, I'll just drop them off.
My desk is cleaned out at the end of the day.
But I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about new products that I think one of your most important products, which is the Brickmania coloring book that I saw you guys added. So this we definitely have to. Do you have one right? Oh yeah.
I have a coloring book.
So these are for sale, correct?
Yeah, it's not super expensive. It's printed on plain paper because you have to color it in. But the whole point was to make a coloring book for passing the time while you're in quarantine. So it's a dozen models. Of course, you get Holly, which is our office cat. I'm surprised she hasn't made a cameo yet. She walked in the door and maybe she heard all you guys and got scared. But it's a coloring book with a little page describing what each thing is, just so you have some context. But like you have this like cool like Brickmania graphics. This is the same team that does all of our animation and stuff too. So we have some real talented graphics. In fact, this is Amanda who is the master, the build master for Brickworld last year.
You featured a bunch of her builds from Brickworld over the years. Super talented builder, yeah.
So this is Amanda's work. She did the whole coloring book from home under quarantine. It's basically action shots of Brickmania kits. We had to be careful not to do any licensed stuff because we didn't want to get in trouble. But I think it's a dozen different pages in the book, and they're all like single-sided, so you can rip them out of the book and not destroy, or color on one side, and not destroy what's on the other side. But they're a benefit. So what we've done is we provided these free for some various nonprofits that are first responders or military organizations, military family organizations, and we're selling them for $5 on our website, and all the money goes to printing more of them that we distribute free. So we've already given out well over 1,000 of these books, and shipped them all around the country. Plus, everyone that we sell pays to make more. And then we're doing an accounting this week. We're going to figure how many we've actually sold, how much we paid to get them all done, how much we paid in shipping, and then we're going to donate the leftover money and then we'll make that announcement this time next week. So that's our project, is to get all that paperwork and do the detective work. You can actually order one online if you want. You don't have to pay for postage. I think it's $5. So you just download it and you can color it in for free. And well, of course, you color it in for free. You have to use your own markers, but or crayons. But you can download, and the money goes directly into that fund, and it's going to be going towards emergency preparedness organizations. Probably, I think we're going to be doing it's international, or it's World Kitchen. I think we'll be donating it the money to, and that's going to be the first batch of donation will be happening. The monetary donation will be announced next week. So I'm curious to see how much money we've raised so far. We haven't been really keeping a running total, but the web store certainly will. We'll figure out where everything's gone and let everybody know. So that's kind of exciting. And we're actually going to throw out a few freebie images. So we have some extra images that didn't make it into the first coloring book. So those will be available for free. So you can just download and color and pass the time and enjoy some Brickmania models in a different way.
First one next Wednesday. The first free download will be next Wednesday. So make sure to stay tuned for that.
That's so cool. Yeah, what a great way to support the ongoing efforts of all the health workers out there, and then get yourself a fun coloring book while you're at it. Yeah, it was kind of one of those ideas we just came up with out of the blue, and people loved the idea, so we went with it. So definitely make sure to check that out, everyone watching on the Brickmania website, and get yourself some coloring books as well. And then we had one question somebody asked in the chat, and I think this will wrap it up for us then, so you can kind of give a reminder to everyone who might have joined later on how does the new plank ownership work for the USS Macon Island. So if you want to run through that for people who have just joined us recently one more time, because this is really cool, and it's a good way to end the stream as a reminder for how people can get involved with what you guys are doing there. Dylan, what do you want?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. So basically what it is it's a part for fans to be joined in on our mega build. So, the USS Missouri, the USS O'Hare, just those big builds that we take on. We wanted to have a chance for fans to be a part of it. And so the Brick Starter program, or the Macon Island Plank Ownership Program, is basically a way you can donate to Brickmania and then get your name or your symbol or whatever you want put on the ship. As well as some other cool stuff depending on what level you decide to participate at. And basically what that does is it allows Dan to, first of all, see the interest that there is in him to continue to build these gigantic things. And then second of all, to be able to purchase the bricks beforehand so that we can continually be working on the Macon Island and don't have to take big delays and stops, so that we had, run a sale and try to fund it all through the Brickmania store. So really what it is it's a way for fans to get involved on whatever level they want to. And then it's a way to show support for these super huge builds that Brickmania likes to undertake.
Right. And you get some stuff with it. So, at every level you get you get the opportunity to put your mark on the ship. You get, you're buying a plank, and that plank gets put into the ship basically. And at the top level, you actually get an ongoing reward. It's a year-long discount at Brickmania. At least it goes through the end of 2020. So if you do support the shipbuilding process at the $300, it's the 06 or captain level, you get all of the rewards, plus you get an actual 5% discount at Brickmania stores. So that's you could easily, if you're like a hardcore Brickmania fan, you could actually make that 5% discount, or the cost of entry, the $300 back in your discount, relatively quickly.
That's exactly right. So go check all of that out on the website and definitely help support the incredible USS Macon Island build that the Brickmania crew is working on, because this will be another, for people who have seen our videos on the Missouri that Dan did, you know, this is sort of similar size. I think it'll be in the end. So another incredible build over there.
It'll be bigger if you can believe it.
Oh, even bigger. There you go. So, I mean, this is something you want to be a part of and help support this and all the great work going on Brickmania. But I think that will wrap it up for us today. So thank you, Dan, Dylan, and Lando for sticking around for us for the whole stream. We definitely appreciate it. It's always great to get an update from everything going on over there. I'm glad you guys are back in the office and can keep doing great work and pumping out all those minifigs and kits and everything else you're working on.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks.
Sure thing. So thank you everyone who joined us in the chat and joined us in the stream here. We always appreciate you watching. Make sure to check out Brian's gaming stream on Thursday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then I'll be back with another Ideas Spotlight on Friday that you can check out as well. In addition to our new Lego news show every Saturday with Mike. So we're trying to do as many streams, as much content as we can while we're still stuck at home for everyone here. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you soon.